The beautiful thing about learning is that nobody can take it away from you. A very good afternoon to one and all present here. I, Shubham Nirvan, along with my co-anchor Yashika Navani, on behalf of BCIPS, would like to extend a heartfelt welcome to our esteemed and honorable speaker, Director Ma'am, all faculty members, and our knowledgeable and diverse participants from all over India for 1 week faculty development program on impactful academic writing, a qualitative approach. Now, I would like to introduce my colleagues to one and all present here. Banarsidas Chandiwala Institute of Professional Studies is affiliated to Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University. It was set up in the year 2008 and currently running professional programs in the area of management. It was established under the aegis of Sri Banarsidas Chandiwala Seva Trust Society, working in the field of health and education since 1952. Our vision is to be a world-class institution and to nurture value-based education. And our mission is to help the students to develop ethical decision-making capabilities and expand their skill and knowledge externally beyond the limits. Now, I would like to call Yashika to take further session. Over to you, Yashika.
Thank you, Shubham. Academic writing has always been considered very crucial in the academics arena globally. To write impactful research papers and case studies is a challenging task. It requires in-depth knowledge and understanding of do's and don'ts of impactful writing articles, including literature review, design, learning various tools and techniques for the data analysis. Researchers often lack the specific skill set for academic writing due to the dearth of training in writing skills at various educational levels. Every research consists of systematic literature review, data collection, usage of various tools and techniques for presenting the findings and results. The tools not only aid with the data analysis but also present the but also improve the outcomes of the research. Keeping in mind the importance of writing proficiencies, new tools and techniques for qualitative data analysis, BCIPS has diligently organized 1 week FDP on impactful writing, a qualitative approach. The main objective of FDP is to comprehend the significance of academic writing and qualitative analysis in research. We would be learning art of writing impactful case studies and research articles along with certain tools for qualitative research. On this note, I would like to inaugurate 1 week faculty development program with the blessings of Goddess Saraswati. I would now request the technical team to play Saraswati Vandana.
या कुन्देन्दुतुषारहार धवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रामृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युतं शङ्करं प्रभृतिभिः देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेषजाड्यापहा
Thank you, team. Over to you, Shubham, now.
Now, to begin with the event, may I now call upon Dr. Director Aparna Mishra ma'am, the Director of BCIPS, to deliver the welcome address. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Shubham. A very good noon to everyone present here. Honorable Professor Dr. P. Saravanan, sir, distinguished dignitaries, my fellow colleagues, members from academia, participants from across the country, and live viewers on our YouTube channel. I extend a hearty and warm welcome to all of you in this auspicious virtual gathering of 1 week online FDP on impactful academic writing, a qualitative approach. Of all the myths surrounding academic writing, the fallacy of effortless productivity is amongst the most persistent. This is by Helen Sword, author of best-selling book, Air and Light and Time and Space, How Successful Academics Write. Late nights, the tears, the stress, the frustrations. Yes, we are the academic loved ones. We always wonder why we cannot make us feel better about our writing. Even if we are writers ourselves, we still don't understand why we are so frustrated. It's not academic fraternity, it's us. Or rather, it's academic writing that does this to us. So I have been engaged in academic writing since beginning of my academic career, but I only realized recently why so many writing tips don't work for most of us as researchers and professors. How could this be? Writing should be a fun. Sure, I felt satisfied and accomplished after finishing academic writing, but I rarely experience joy or fun. And from my colleagues and students, I received the similar experiences. I knew I wasn't alone. So we began to dig deeper into this question of chasm between conventional writing advice and academic writers' experiences. We as an academic writers face a unique convergence of few factors, and this is coming out of my experience. Like the first one is audience and peer review. If there's one reason academics struggle more than other writers, it's our built-up inbuilt audience. Let's review other professional writers' audience. Like journalists, the audience is news readers, essay lists, essay readers, bloggers, blog readers, critics, people who eat out or buy gadgets or go to museum or so on. Notice the pattern? Everyone writes a lay audience. Yes, they can expect critique, but the primary reason they publish is to inform or entertain a subsection of the public. But academics, our audience is experts in our discipline. We also write expecting critique as our primary source of feedback. No praise, but criticism. When we write a journal article, we write for our peers, not a general audience. Standards are not only high, they are often unknown and unexpected. Does this expectation of criticism amp up daily writing resistance? You bet it does. The second observation, which is coming from my experience, is secondary trauma, which is associated with war correspondents, social workers, or medical or rescue professionals, but not with the creative non-fiction writers. Secondary trauma is real for journalists, non-fiction writers, and academics. As academics, we see, we record, and we listen to other people's stories of trauma. We experience a compounding effect if we teach and write about operations that affects us or our family. To make matters worse, academics who write, research, and experience primary and secondary trauma are expected to produce and write at the same rate as those who don't. Third thing which is coming is the culture of silence. A writer should get as much education as possible, but just going to school is not enough. If it were, all owners of doctorate would be inspired writers. This has been said by Mr. Bruce. Cultural silence around academic writing struggles may be changing, but we still don't talk about writing. We've never been trained to write or to teach. We walk into the first classroom with no teaching experience, and writing, we receive zero writing training unless we count sometimes cryptic feedback on our papers. Academic writing shall be clear, concise, focused, structured, and backed up by evidences. This is what we learned with our experience. Its purpose is to aid the reader's understanding. The vast majority of us never learn how to write, much less write academic articles. We receive vague, often frustrating feedback from a group of people who were never taught how to write or either. It's bad enough that we have pieced together how to write a journal articles even. We think the time we're spending fiddling around the ideas on paper is lost time, that we could be doing the real work of writing. Then we get anxious and avoidant because we think we are wasting time. So we avoid wasting time altogether by not writing at all. In today's competitive academic environment, teaching and research are complement to each other. It has been long believed that the most important resource that any institution of higher education has is its faculty members who teach knowledge and skills to the students. So keeping this in mind, we took this initiative majorly focused upon quality of delivery of academic content while extracting the researches from the fraternity through effective and competent productivity. Professional training programs produce promising outcomes in the learning and teaching practices, and many FDPs have proven effective in developing faculty skills and educational leadership. It is clear that faculty development has become well established and has grown into a recognized activity within higher education. So this program has been designed to focus on inculcating the systematic research approach among the academic fraternity and equip them with recent technologies and software available in the ecosystem. The event emphasized on providing knowledge and developing the academic content, along with highlighting on the concerns about the academic integrity and ethics in research. This may result into an understanding of the requirements of the submission process of research papers to best fit in journals. Academic writing follows a number of standard conventions that writers are advised to follow routinely. They are mainly based around structure. The accepted form of academic writing in the social sciences can vary considerably depending upon the methodological framework and intended audience. Few instances or few parameters that we normally work upon is the tone, that is the attitude conveyed in the piece of writing. Diction refers to the choice of words we use. Language, the investigation of research problems in social sciences is often complex and multidimensional. Therefore, it is important that we use unambiguous language. Punctuation, scholars rely on precise words and language to establish the narrative tone of their work, and therefore punctuation marks are very useful and they should be deliberate. Academic conventions, that is citing resources and sources in the body of our papers and providing a list of references as either footnotes or endnote, is very important aspects of academic writing. Evidence-based reasoning, opinion shall be based on only evidence-based reasoning and complexity. High order thinking, that is academic writing, addresses complex issues that require high order thinking and skills applied to understanding the research problems. And many more, like there are so many parameters. And of course, I'm very much optimistic that in the coming sessions, we are going to have a kind of knack and orientation on all these parameters together. We have received overwhelming response from the academia across the country. It's always painful watching everyone, including myself, struggling with so many fraudulent academic writing expectations. What's even more surprising is that we think we are the only ones who have challenges, but we are not alone. It's time to put down the mask of academic perfectionism that damages us all and be prepared to take a leap into the world of creation with quality academic content. We are really honored to have amongst us for this August gathering the three torch bearers who, with their esteemed expertise, passion, and knowledge, made a remarkable impression in capturing the understanding of this academic quality writing to the arena of research, academia, and industry as a whole. So I once again welcome Dr. P. Saravanan sir from IIM Trichy, Dr. Atul Shiva from Chandigarh University, Dr. R.P.S. Gaurav from Fortune Institute of International Business, New Delhi. We have received overwhelming response from academia, and around more than 150 participants have registered for this event. So I say, na chor haryam, na cha rajya haryam, na bhatri bhajyam, na cha bharakari, vyaya krite vardhate eva nityam, vidyadhanam sarvadhanam pradhanam. It means wisdom and knowledge cannot be snatched away by a robber, cannot be snatched away by a king, cannot be divided amongst the brothers. not heavy to carry. If spent daily, it always keeps growing. The wealth of knowledge is the most precious wealth amongst everyone, everything. So indeed, today we all are gathered here into this event, which is expected to constitute a strategic lever for institutional excellence and quality, an essentially important means for advancing forward institutional readiness to bring in the desired change in response to the ever-growing complex demand facing universities and colleges. So before I hand over the podium for further processing, I would like to convey a thoughtful caution to the audience to prepare themselves to be challenged and inspired with the vivid insights and logical establishments of the process across the session. I, on behalf of the whole Banarsidas Chandiwala fraternity, once again would like to bid a very hearty welcome, and we are deeply appreciative to all of you for accepting our invitation and honoring us with your esteemed presence for making this event a grand success. Thank you so very much and all the best. Thank you. Over to you, Shubham.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your words of wisdom and giving an energetic start to the 1-week faculty development program. The topic for today's session is Art of Writing Impactful Case Studies.
I am profoundly delighted to introduce Dr. P. Saravanan Sir, Professor of IIM Trichy, our esteemed resource person for today's session. Dr. P. Saravanan Sir is currently a professor in the field of finance and accounting. Earlier, he used to be a professor in IIM Shillong. His areas of interest are corporate finance, security analysis and portfolio management, corporate governance and project finance. He has published 36 journals, including A category journals, which are ranked as per the Australian Business Deans Council classification. 6 of his case studies on NSE and BSE listed companies were published by Ivy Business Schools and available in Harvard Business School Case Repository collection. He is a regular columnist in leading business newspapers like Economic Times, The Hindu Business Line, Finance Express and The Mint. He is also a visiting professor to IIM Indore, IIM Ranchi, IIM Rohtak, XLRI Jamshedpur, etc. We are grateful to you, sir, for accepting our invitation and gracing the event with your auspicious presence. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
I would request Dr. P. Saravanan, sir, to take over the session now.
Thank you.
Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, there is some issue on screen sharing. Just I will share my PPT to you.
So you can mail us your PPT to us, or you
Yeah.
can send your PPT to us.
Just I WhatsApp you. Just can you check?
Yes, sir. I'll be checking, sir.
Okay, so let her work on this PPT stuff. So okay, so good afternoon to everyone. The director of BCIPS, the faculty members of the institute. First of all, I would like to congratulate each and every one of you because it is a need of the hour. Because everywhere people are talking about publishing good quality paper, people are talking about publishing good quality cases, and really, we Indian faculty are not being properly trained. I'm not saying that we're not trained. They're not being properly trained on how to write case studies, how to write good quality papers, and all those things. Basically, as most of you know that we in management science we often use case as a method of teaching. That is considered as one of the very effective tool, or that's considered one of the very effective method of bringing an imaginary scenario into the classroom, so that the students themselves take the role of the as a CEO of the company and take the call whether to get into that particular project or not, something like that. So in that context, case is also being considered as equivalent to research work. In most of the institutes, when you publish cases in good quality, in good case repositories, for instance, we can get our cases published in the Harvard Business School case repository, or we can get our cases published in the Ivy Business School case repository. So that is considered as equivalent to publishing, one C category journal. I hope you all know what is called ABDC and all those stuff. So that's considered equal to one C category. But if you look at some premier institutions like IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Bangalore, they treat that as equivalent to a B category of equivalent to a B category of a journal. And nevertheless, cases written on the Indian context are not much. So therefore, there is a greater demand from these repositories when we write case studies on the Indian context. People like to, when I say that many of these repositories like to accept or kind of say yes. I mean, generally yes. Of course, the cases also go through the different rigorous process like a research paper. We go to submit the paper, and that goes for review, and then finally we get it accepted or rejected. But by and large, the cases are not rejected per se. They are being we get back with some comments from the reviewer, and we need to revise and rework on that. And there is a higher probability of getting the cases accepted in the top class things. Okay. So with that note, we'll move on to case writing and publishing. Could you please put that into full slide mode?
Yes, sir. We'll be doing that. Just a second. Or another team member is presenting, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
I hope it is visible, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you go to next slide?
Yes, sir. Next slide, ma'am.
Just okay. Just 1 second.
Slideshow, nice. Is it visible, sir?
Yeah.
Shall I go for this next slide, sir?
Just 1 second. Okay. See. Okay. So first, let us talk about what is called a case method of teaching, and then we'll move on to how to write a case study. When we talk about the case method as a case method of teaching, as most of us are familiar being a management faculty, so I wanted you all to be very interactive, so that instead of I talk and you listen, the participants are feel free to ask questions or ask me to stop at any point of time, or you can type your comments in the chat box. We start with a very simple question: what is called as a case? What is called as a case? Because most of you are familiar with a case as a method of teaching. So what is called as a case?
Yes, Miss Sanjila Mathur, sir. She has raised her hand, sir.
Yeah. Please go ahead. Yeah,
May I answer?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, what I perceive to be a case is it could be an issue or a situation at hand which requires certain amount of analysis and diagnosis to either solve a problem or offer an alternative solution to that situation. Or
Okay, fair enough. Very good. Okay. Okay, any other thoughts? Any other thoughts?
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, am I audible?
Yes, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So, case study is the in-depth study of something. Here we just learn everything about something. That is case study.
Okay. Okay, fine. So, any other thoughts?
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
So, so the case is something that is near to the reality. So, which is closer to the real situations, and through the solving of that case, we can get to know what could be the decision making in that particular situation if we get into that.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. So we all think that we are the management people or the first domain who used case as a method of teaching. Actually, if you track the history, can you guess which domain originally used case as a method of teaching? Can you make a guess which domain or which field of study used case as a method of teaching? You all may be surprised to know that medicine is the field. Medicine is the field where in which they use case as a method of teaching. For instance, when you and me go to a doctor for whatever the illness that we are having, when you go to the doctor, doctor may call me or you by your name. But in the eye of the doctor, you and me are a case. From the eye of the doctor, you and me are the case. Maybe he may call case A, case B, case C. Okay, so originally the case as a method of teaching was used in medicine field. Then later on, it is extensively used in the law field. Then we borrowed that concept of case method of teaching in the management domain. We borrowed originally it was used in the medicine field, then followed by the legal. Then we are adopted as a third domain. Later on, in all other domain also started using, in education, in pedagogy, in teaching. So they use in across all the domain. They use case as a method of teaching. Okay, so as many of you said that a case is nothing but a small fact or a small story. It is not a story per se. It is a small scenario or a small situation where in which the CEO is supposed to take some important decisions with a given limited amount of information. That is the catch. So we don't have all the information about that scenario is available. We have limited amount of information is available with reference to a particular scenario, and based upon the limited amount of information available, being the CEO of the company or the CFO of the company or the hero of the case, he has to take a call whether to invest the money in the project or whether he should not invest the money, or he should enter into the new market or should not enter into the new market, whether he should buy the product, not to buy the products, all key decisions. And these decisions are being assumed as in the role of a CEO of the company or as a CFO of the company, right? And these CEO or CFO should take action, or they need to react to the given situation with a limited amount of information. They need to react. Now, as one of the participants said, that this is more or less like equal to reality. This is more or less like equal to reality. So how do you say it is more or less equal to a reality? How do we say that this is more or less equal to a reality? How do we say that this is more or less equal to a reality?
Sir, through this, we can have a look on a particular solutions, and we can relate that solutions to the real situations. Like, say, for example, if we talk about lawyers, so they refer a lot of cases that the similar cases they are solving in the current situation for the solution for the current case they are dealing with. Okay. So these are the case studies that help us to take decision making in the current situations.
Yeah, very
so
good.
That is why they are near to the reality.
Yes, yeah, exactly correct. Near to, and most of these case studies are being written based upon the past story. I mean, not story, based upon the past event or based upon the past happenings in the corporate. So there are a lot of case studies which are being written, which are readily available. If you go to HBSB, Harvard Business Publication website, or Ivy website, if you go, you could download large number of case studies being a faculty member of the institute. So if you could see, very often we could see cases on Facebook, we could see cases on Twitter, we could see cases on Google, right? These things are all reality. These things are all reality, and these case studies are being written on the realistic, realistic based on the realistic events. So therefore, when we administer these case studies in the classroom, the student also react, or the student also started behaving like the CEO of that particular company. So being a CEO of the company or being a CFO of the company, what kind of decision that I could probably be take. So it is close to reality. That's the reason I say that it is close to reality, wherein which we are taking the past happening in the corporate or past history of the corporate we take, and through that we are writing a case. And through that we are writing a case, right? So that is the beauty of case as a method of teaching. Okay, fine. Now, how do we teach these concepts through the case? Because often many people, many people critique the case as a method of teaching.
So shall we proceed to the next slide, sir?
Concept.
So your voice is not audible, sir.
Are you getting my voice?
Yes, sir. Now it is audible.
Okay, fine, right. See, the general critic against the case as a method of teaching is that people say through the cases you cannot teach the concept. So, do you agree with this statement, or can we teach the concepts through the cases?
So we can.
We can. How?
So
Yes, go
through
ahead.
this, yes. So through this cases, we can able to identify few of the concepts, and we can teach that to the students. And this is a kind of example that will give more insight to the students.
Okay. Okay, very good. Okay. Sanjila?
Yes, sir. But it also gives us an insight into the most likely solutions that are going to work and prevent us from creating a situation which might not, or solution which may not be very positive for result. So that is also a kind of an insight giving through some of this. We get a clear plan of action in front of us regarding the do's and the don'ts.
Okay. Okay. See, the general accusation or the general criticism which is levied against the case as a method of teaching is you cannot teach the concepts through the case. So I totally, disagree with that statement, as like two of my friends in the said earlier. So we can teach the concepts through the case, and we can practice these concepts through the cases. I'll give a very simple example. For instance, those who are teaching finance may be knowing there is a very popular theory called pecking order theory. So according to this theory, whenever a company need money for their expansion, for their diversification, or for their capex, generally the companies use their retained earnings or the past profits first. Once when they exhausted the past profits, then they will go for raising the money from the market by means of debt. And the last and the least preferred source of funding is called equity. So briefly, this is what is called as, I mean, there are a lot of other stuff. Briefly, this is what is called as the pecking order theory framework by Professor Gordon Donaldson. Administer a case which encompasses all these points, So therefore, the students can, very well able to see how this theory is being translated into practice. So the student is very well able to see how the theory is being translated into practice. So that is one way in which we can say that the statement normally people make a critic that you cannot teach the theory through the cases. So that can be overcome. So all these theories, whatever you are explaining in the case, that can be translated into reality through the case method of teaching. Okay. Now, one of our friends said that with the clear cut, there are two ways of approaching the case as a method of teaching. one approach is you provide them some basic information, basic facts and figures, and you give a situation, and you ask the students to act like as if you are the CEO or you are the CFO or you are the hero of that case, where which you need to take a call or you need to take a decision. So in that particular scenario, how the student will take, as a first I will tell you, as a faculty, how you wanted to question the case. So that's very important point. First, as a faculty, how you wanted to question the case. So what normally you do, you teach a concept or you teach a topic, and then to reinforce the concept or reinforce the topic or to understand the topic in depth, we administer a case. So when you administer the case, what happened? There are two ways of administering the case. First, as a faculty, you need to take a call how you wanted to question this case in the classroom. Okay, as one of the participants mentioned that with the given data, you can take a call. You can take a call means you can take a decision. For example, you have some information about a particular company, and based upon that information in the company, you need to take a call whether you should invest in project A or you should not invest. Let us make it simple. You should have to invest or not invest, because you are going to invest 500 million on a particular project, and if anything goes wrong in that project, then your company will go for bankruptcy. Imagine. So in that case, how do we conclude that case? That's a very important point, because normally when we teach case as a method, we divide the students into groups and ask the students to prepare the case and come and share their thoughts and come and present their views about the case. So in this example of this case, where which a company CEO need to take a call whether to invest or not invest in the project, which is 500 million. If any calculation goes wrong, then your company will file for bankruptcy. So which means that project is very important for the CEO. So in that scenario, as a faculty, you can take a call with reference to how do you want to conclude that particular case. So as obvious, the students groups, all the groups may not have the same thoughts or same views. Some of them will say, yeah, we should go and invest in the project. And some of them say, no, we should not go and invest in the project. So as a faculty, you need to elicit the information. First of all, as a faculty, you need to elicit the information from all the groups, all their views. You should elicit the information and try to document those information in the blackboard or in the whiteboard. So that is one very, very essential part of how do we administer the case to the students. So we already gave the case to the students, and there is a very critical vision that we need to take a call. In that call, the students are giving different viewpoints with reference to the case, and some of them will say yes, and some of them will say no. So first, as a faculty, we need to elicit the information from the different groups, and as often, sometimes the students might not have looked at some of the deeper points. In that case, we need to probe or we need to ask questions to the student and elicit the information. I mean, once when I say elicit the information, what are the key points mentioned by each and every group that we need to document or we need to write it in the blackboard. So once when majority of the points have come, as a faculty, you can take a call. You can conclude the case by saying that, yes, we can go ahead with the project for whatever the reasons that the groups say, or you may say that we should not go for the project or whatever the reasons you say. So in that way, one approach towards case as a method of teaching is you can conclude the case, which means, yes, I'm going ahead with, as a CEO of the company, we should go ahead with the project. Or you may say that, no, there are a lot of risks associated with the project, you should not go ahead with the project. So you can conclude that case. That is one one way of administering the case. There is also equivalently opposite way of administering the case, wherein which the case is being discussed, and as a faculty, you don't conclude the case. What is this, sir? Without concluding the case, how do the students will understand the concept? Yes, that's a very important question. You don't conclude the case. How come without concluding the case, what will be the take-home point for the students if you don't conclude the case? You understand what I mean by concluding the case? At the end of the day, you say that, yes, the CEO can invest the money in the project A, or the CEO should not invest, go ahead with the project, should not invest. You don't conclude, you simply hang the case in the board. You simply hang all the points in favor of the case, and you simply hang all the points against the case. You simply hang it in the board. Are you able to visualize what I'm saying? Are you getting?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that is another interesting approach. So see, I tried all these methods, in the classrooms. So for example, one case you have to teach in two sections. For instance, you have to teach in one section A, you have to teach the same case, and the same case you are teaching 9 to 10:30 in one section, and 10:45 to 12:15 you are teaching in another section. So in the 9 to 10:30 class, you conclude that case saying that, yes, the CEO should go ahead with the project. Okay. And in the second section, when you repeat the same case in the second section, depending upon the points which are emerging, or you may direct the case in such a manner, and you may conclude that the CEO should not invest in the project. So during the lunchtime, these students will meet and say how the case was discussed in your class, man. So the students will discuss among themselves, and they will say that, sir, in the other section you conclude that the project should be taken, and in our section you said the project should not be taken. How? The same case, you have the two different approaches, or two different solutions, or two different ways of looking at this one. How this is possible? How this is possible? For the same case, you are having two different solutions or two different approaches. How for a same case we can have two different approaches? In one section you say yes, and in one section you say no. Yes? Any thoughts? Have you experienced such kind of, have you administered the cases like that? Any thoughts?
No, sir.
Okay, fine. So the point here is, if you do like that, you don't conclude the case. In one, say there are two ways of approach to take two approaches to the case. One way you just conclude the case and say and close the chapter, and you can exit the class. Okay, it could be either in favor of the project or it could be against the project. Another approach is you simply hang the case in the board. You understand? I mean, what I meant by hanging the case in the board. You put all the points in favor of the project. You put all the points in favor of, not in favor of the project. You put all the points, and at the end of the session, you say, as a CEO of the company, you can take a call. Okay, as a CEO of the company, you can take a call. So this is one style in which I learned. One of the professors in strategy area in IIM Ahmedabad who used to teach me like that. So he never ever concluded the case. He never ever concluded the case. He put all the points on the board in favor of taking decision, all the points against taking, not in favor of taking decision, and simply hang the case in the board. Which means there will be no conclusion. So as a student, what is my take home point? So I look at this case from one particular angle. Of saying that I should go ahead with the project. So I try to look at all the points in favor. So in this process, I completely ignore the points which are not in favor of going the project. So as a faculty, you write both the points and simply hang the case in the board. So you can take a call. So that is one approach. Another approach, in one section you say, yes, we can go ahead, and in another section you said we should not go ahead with that. So in that case, I told you some time ago, you used to elicit information from the participant. You should elicit information from the participant. So you have to ask questions in such a manner, so you should get all the points in favor of going ahead with the project, or you should ask questions in such a manner, you should elicit all the points that are not in favor of going ahead with the project. Okay, so accordingly you can conclude the case. Okay, next interesting question. Why should I use case as a method? Because there are different methods of teaching. As we all being teacher, we all practice. There are different methods of teaching. We have chalk and talk, we have the role play, we have the seminar presentation. There are different methods of teaching. Why, as a faculty, I should use case method of teaching? What could be probably your answer? Why should I use case as a method of teaching? There are so many other methods. Are the chalk and talk, very traditional method. You ask the students come and present their work. You can make a group discussion. Yes, Madam Akansha. Yes, go ahead.
Miss Akanksha, you're not audible.
Okay, maybe Ruchi, if you are around, you can go ahead.
Yes, sir. So case study will help the student to develop the problem solving approach. So if we talk about role plays, that can only give a overview of the situation, but case studies will definitely provide a problem solving approach to the student.
Okay. Yes, Needu Walia.
Yes, sir. I believe that cases help us to understand the real life situations. Whereas in other methods, like even if we talk about role plays, it is just about that we develop the situations on our own. It may or may not be a realistic situation, whereas in cases, talk about realistic situations.
Okay. So apart from what are the points that you said, one of the major advantages is you want to add something. Supriya, you want to add something? Go ahead.
Yes, go ahead, Supriya Lamba.
So, ma'am, the voice is breaking, first thing. And second thing, whatever I just heard, because of the disturbance in the network from, my co-participant, Miss Ruchi and Miss Leenu, I just wish to add here, I very much buy the point which Miss Neelu, came up with, that, it is very important these days to talk about, the real life examples and the real life, challenges that we come across, and, taking that up in the form of a case, that too in the class, and making the students learn from it, is something that is the need of the hour. Now, saying this, I would also like to mention here that these days, keeping in mind that technology is changing in nickest of time, and we need to keep ourselves updated. It is also important that as sir is the thing which is there on the slide, that says that we must have all the materials required before we go ahead with a case, or we start writing a particular case on something. It is important for us to make sure that we have got all the content related to a case before we enter a class. Why? Because at times as sir rightly said, professor rightly said, that a case can have not just one answer, but rather more than one answers. So it can be yes to a group of students, and no to another group of students. Now, how you justify that, what kind of scenario you put them in, that's something really important and interesting for us as a faculty to know about. So we must know both sides of the coin, and that is what I also personally feel, that it is important that we talk about it from both the perspectives. So thank you so much, sir, for bringing that point in. It was really insightful indeed.
Okay.
Thank
See,
you.
in addition to whatever three of you said, that one of the major advantage of using case as method of teaching, because it is 100% student-centered teaching strategy. I repeat, this is 100% student-centered teaching strategy. Because if you think of chalk and talk, it is revolving around the faculty. So if you remember the olden days, where in which the teacher will refer 10 different textbooks, and he will make a notes and come to the class and deliver that. So it is simply knowledge transfer. So if you talk about the olden methods of teaching, so the teacher refer 5-6 books, and he make notes and comes and tells the same thing to the student. So it is simply a transfer of knowledge. He transfer the knowledge, whatever he learned, into the students' community. Whereas if you go ahead with the case as a method of teaching, it's completely student-centered teaching strategy. So you understand what I meant by student-centered. So which means whatever they wanted to learn, they can learn up to that point. Whatever they want to learn, they can learn up to that point. So as some of you mentioned, that it's a real-world situation basis for learning. And most important point, apart from student-centered teaching strategy, it also imports the students with something called as a critical thinking. Because now you are no more student, you are the CEO of the company. And these are the facts and figures given in the case, and visualize that imagine that you are the CEO of the company, and you need to take a call whether you should invest your money in the project or not, something like that. You need to take a call whether you should go ahead with the project or not. So it kind of help the students to think critically. It kind of help the students to think critically, and it is not only critically thinking. It also helps him or her to communicate that with his own groupmate, or with his own school, with his own classmate, or with his own students in the class, or with his faculty. So the major advantage of using case as a method of teaching is it is 100% student-centered teaching strategy, and the student can think critically and communicate the same thing. So in this process, the student also learns some interpersonal skills. So where is interpersonal skill comes? For instance, there are 5 students in the group, and as a group, you need to make a presentation tomorrow on the case. As a group, you need to come out with an agreed decision on the case. So as an individual within the group, I should be able to convince my own batchmate to my decision. So in this process, the students also learn that interpersonal skills. In this process, students also learn the interpersonal skills, right? Okay. So as a teacher, how do I move towards a case method of teaching? I say that I'm not saying that case method of teaching is only the best method. There are so many other methods are there, but I personally felt the case as a method of teaching is one of the best method, which helped me, to convey what I wanted to talk to the students, to rate me as a best faculty. See, the first thing that we need to change as a faculty, I'm talking from the faculty angle, we need to change the attitude. Because as I said that in the chalk and talk, what normally people normally the teacher does, he read different books and he simply transfer the knowledge. He simply transfer the knowledge. In case as a method of teaching, as a teacher, earlier day, to the teacher. Case method of teaching, we faculty are taking a different role, namely facilitator. We are no more teacher, we are no more professor, we are no more lecturer. We are going to be a facilitator. In this process of facilitating, as a teacher, I also learn something. In this process, the students also learn something. So the first and foremost point, as a teacher, there should be a time for change. There is a change in the attitude, and no more teaching. That's the most important point. No more teaching, no more reading 10 books, no more transferring the knowledge from the teacher to the student. So now there is no more teacher, no more professor. We are only a facilitator. Facilitator for what? We are a facilitator for what? We are a facilitator now for what? Facilitator for what? Facilitator for the student learning. We are the facilitator for a student learning in a discussion-based environment. So there is a discussion-based environment which is arising out of the case study, and you are the faculty and you are simply enable or you simply facilitate the students' learning. So I will give a very simple example. Say, for instance, in a class of 90 minutes, if you administer a case, some of you must have already experienced, if you administer a case study which have a lot of facts and figures, which have a lot of numbers, as a teacher or as a faculty, you may talk out of the 90 minutes class, you may talk hardly for 20 to 30 minutes maximum. What, sir? Out of 90 minutes class, you talk only for 30 minutes. Then what do you do for the remaining 60 minutes? What do you do for the remaining 60 minutes? Yes?
We discuss with the class
students. Students will talk. Very good. Students will talk. As a teacher, your role is you will talk only for 1/3 of the class. You will talk only for the 1/3 of the class. So the 2/3 of the class is being taken over by the students. Your job is to only facilitate. Your job is to ask some questions. Your job is to bring some points which the students failed to capture. Your job is to bring some important points the students are not able to track the case study. Your job is to bring some important numbers, some of them missed out. Right. So that's the most important point. So your job is to facilitate the student in a learning environment, and the environment is case based. Okay. So these are some of the advantages of going ahead with the case as a method of teaching. So I said that our job is being a facilitator for the learning environment. How do we create a good learning environment? How do we create a good learning environment?
So your voice is not audible, sir.
So we are not able to hear you. Your voice is cracking.
So there might be some technical issue from your end, sir. Still not audible, sir. We request the participants to bear with the technical glitches. Sir is joining back.
Okay, are you getting my voice?
Yes, sir. Now it is audible.
Okay. So how do we create that learning environment? Because when you open the session for everybody, will not look like a, everybody wanted to put up their point first kind of thing. How do you create an environment, a facilitating environment, good learning environment? How do you create?
So by initiating the discussions in the class.
So what we need to do, we need to set up the rules and regulations when you administer the course outline. In the course outline, you have to mention that how you plan to, take the groups, and how the, most of us have a one important component of evaluation called as CP, right? What is that called? CP? Class participation. So, class participation are able to visualize. So you means to the students how the points you are bringing into the class and how you are answering the questions, how you are assessing the case study in the classroom. I am giving you 10 marks for that. So it's called a class participation. So when there is 10 marks allotted for the class participation, and every student wanted to gain or score the 10 points. Okay. So again, you put the points. It is not about the number of questions that I'm asking, you will get the marks. It's about the quality of the questions that the student is asking in the class, or the quality of the points the student is bringing into the board. Accordingly, the student is gaining. Accordingly, the student is gaining the points for that. So to create a facilitating learning environment, we can put our own rules. We can put our own regulations. Okay, for the class participation, I'm giving 10 marks. Okay. And a person, and we can say that the 10 marks, how you will award the 10 marks will be awarded not based upon the number of questions that you ask in the class, based upon the number of questions that you're asking, how the student or how the peer group learned anything on that. So on that basis only we can ask that one. Okay, fine. So this is about how do we administer. This is about how do we administer a case in the classroom. This is about how do we administer a case as a method of administering. But I'm not saying that this is not the only method of teaching. I repeat this point. Case is one among the different methods of teaching. Still, there are many professors who do deliver only through chalk and talk method, who do only use different other methods of teaching. But the case is one of the very popular method of teaching. Okay. So though this is a very popular method of teaching, the success of this case method of teaching depends upon the students. Why, sir, you say like that? The success of this case method of teaching depends upon the students. Why? Because I said some time ago, this is a 100% student-centered learning. Because this is a 100% student-centered learning. This is a 100% student-centered learning. So when this is a 100% student-centered learning, so the response should come largely from the student side. The response should come largely from the student side. Okay. So how do you ensure that students come to the class after reading your case? How do we ensure that the students are coming to the class after reading your case? So that's why we have something called as a class participation. That's why we have something as called as a class participation. Say, what if a student if the student not read the case and come to the class? These are the challenges which we face when we administer case as a method of teaching. What happens if the students not read the case and come to the class? What are the options available to faculty? Yes. So any of you ever experienced these things in your class? You plan to discuss the case in the class, but when you go to the class and found students have not read the case, then what we can do?
Sir, we have definitely faced such kind of situations in the classes. And in that case, we can give time to the students in the class itself.
Exactly.
Suppose for half an hour.
Very good. Yeah.
Suppose for half an hour, we can give them, and then we can discuss the case then and there.
Yeah, very good. So one option, as what my friend said, that when the students not read the case, there is no option, because we also mentally planned to deliver that particular case only in that session. So we cannot do anything else, because we are prepared only for that case, right? And that is supposed to be discussed in that class, so that we can, in the next class, we plan to do something else, right? So therefore, as what my friend suggested, we can give the students some 20 minutes or 30 minutes to read the case in the class itself. So if it is a 3-page, 4-page brief cases, the students can learn. The students can read in 20-30 minutes, and then we can discuss that one. Another option is you can always depend upon some students who generally read the case and come to the class. Okay, So after 60 students in the class, say for instance, owing to some reasons, 40 students have not read the case, at least 25 have read the case. So what probably we can do, ask questions to these 20 students and elicit information from these 20 students and then document it in the board. So in this process, the remaining students will also know what are the facts and figures in the case. So once when you document here you go to use a different strategy where in which you first elicit the facts and figures from those students who read the case and document in the board, so that all other remaining students are also in the same page. So those who could not read the case also, because now you wrote all the key points in the board, so they are also in the same page. So they also understand what this case is about, at least to some extent. Then you can ask them the questions. Then you can seek them to provide some input on that, and then accordingly you can go ahead with that. So this is the most common issue as a teacher normally face when you go to the class. What if the student not read the case? What if the case is very lengthy? All those things, right? Okay. So that is more on case as a method of teaching, how we go ahead with the as a teacher. Okay. Now, where do I get the cases? That's the most important point. So I wanted to teach Indian case studies, but I don't often get Indian case studies. So where do we normally get the case studies as a faculty to teach in our courses? What are the sources? What are the sources?
Sir, we can get it from Harvard Business Review.
Okay. Okay. Very good.
So there are multiple organizations, from where we can actually get case studies.
Okay.
Government organizations to, even private case study providers are there. So there is an organization that is called as CEIC. They also come up with case studies. And there are multiple, government-aided organizations also that are, into writing case studies specifically on the government organizations. Thank you.
Harvard. So just now I texted you in the chat box one website called hpsp.harvard.edu. You please make a note of this website. So what is HPSP? Harvard Business School Publications. Harvard Business School Publications, which is available in the Harvard. It's available in Harvard University, a part of that one. So what is the advantage of looking at this case? As a faculty, first of all, you have to go to this website and register yourself as a teacher. You have to go to this website and use this, use your office ID, use your official email ID, not Gmail or something. Use your office account and register yourself as a faculty. So once you register yourself as a faculty, they will check. So
Sir, your voice is still not audible, sir.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes, sir.
So now what happened in this site? Once when you register yourself as a faculty, then you can download. Then you can download the cases. Then you can download the cases, and then you can use it over there. So here there are multiple types of cases are there. To start with, suppose some of you never used a case as a method of teaching, so you can start with simply there are the cases called brief cases. There are certain cases called brief cases, not the briefcase that you carry to your office. So here brief cases mean the number of pages in the cases are only 3 pages or maximum 4 pages. So are really very small and short cases. So one probably could start with the brief cases. The student find it easier to read brief cases and read 20 pages. So one can start with the brief cases, download the brief cases, and probably answer those cases to the student. So to get brief cases, the best source available to you is the hpsp.harvard.edu.
Sorry, sir. Still there is voice problems. I think some network issues there from your side, sir.
Are you getting?
No, sir, not yet, sir. It's not clear yet, sir.
Are you getting me now? Is it clear?
Yes, and yes, now it is audible. Sir.
So this is the one place where you can look at
No, sir, not yet, sir. Again, some technical issues, network issues are there, sir.
Are you getting me?
Some network issues are there because your voice is breaking, sir. So you may rejoin again, sir. Request the participants to bear with the technical glitches. Sir is joining back.
So my voice is audible?
Yes, sir. Perfectly audible, sir.
Okay. We were talking about providing a facilitating environment, and we were talking about various other things. What are the different sources? I shared you another interesting source to you called IV Publishing. Have you got that in your chat box? There is already I shared you one interesting website called Harvard Business School. I will be sharing you another website called ivpublishing.ca. Are you able to see in your chat box?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, okay. So that is another important source. So in this website also, you have to go first of all and get yourself registered with your office ID, with your office email ID. You have to get registered. Then you can download the case study and you can read the case and do that one. Now, another trick of using the case as method of teaching, one is about the Harvard Business School, another one is about the IV publishing houses, and we have many other. These are the two top global. These are the two top global sources. These are the two top global repository where we can get the case studies. Okay. In addition to that, we have many other sources. For instance, we have earlier we used to call this as a ECCH. Now we call them as a this place is called, I'm just texting you. Let's see, are you able to see this one in your chat box? thecasecenter.org. Are you able to see? Is it visible in your chat box? I have given you one website called thecasecenter.org. Are you able to see?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the third resource. First, you use Harvard Business School publication, and second, you use IV Business, and third, you may use the casecenter.org. In all these three case repositories, first as a faculty, you have to go and register yourself. You have to go and register yourself, and then once when they check your credentials and they really argue the faculty and they do all the the verification process, after that you'll be given permission to use the cases. Okay, so you can read the yes, it's free. That's absolutely 100% free. 100% free for faculty members. 100% free for faculty members. You can see that, you can download the cases and you can see that one. Okay, it's 100% free for faculty members. Now, what is coming is, along with this case, whenever you look at the case, along with the case, we also get something called as a teaching note. Suppose I write a case study, then by default I should write a teaching note. See, what is basically teaching note? Teaching note is nothing but if somebody wanted to use my own case, so then I will explain them how this case can be used in the classroom. Then I will explain to them how this case can be used in the classroom. So I say, what is the boardroom plan? First 10 minutes, what you should teach. Next 15 minutes, what you should teach. It's kind of like a teaching plan. So whenever we go to the class to deliver something, we at the back of our mind we have, okay, first 15 minutes you got to talk about this topic, then you got to talk about this topic, like that we have a plan. So this is also like a teaching plan. So as a faculty, you have the case on one hand, you can also look at the teaching plan, or what is called as a teaching note. So you can download both. First you read the case and then look at what the author of the case is talking about, how this case can be taught, and then probably you can adopt the same, or you can design your own teaching plan. Okay, that's the most important point. It is not necessary that you should adopt to that particular teaching plan. You can come out with your own teaching plan also. Okay, so as a faculty, you can download both the cases as well as the teaching note. You can download, and then accordingly you can deliver the session in the class. Okay, now we are talking about taking the case studies from IV, or taking the case studies from the case center, or from the Harvard Business School we are taking. Now, if I wanted to write a case, can you go to the very first slide, because there is some mismatch. Very first slide. I mean, slide number 2.
Yes, sir. We are going.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So now the next task, next what we can do, it is not necessary that you should always use somebody else's case. It is not necessary that you should use somebody else's case. We can also write our own cases. We can also write the case, and our cases can be published. I repeat, our cases can be published in the same website wherever I told you a few minutes ago. I told you about the Harvard Business School publication repository. I told you about the IV Business publication. I told you about the case center. We can write the case study on our own and get it published in these websites. So what is the advantage for you if you write a case study on your own and publish in Harvard Business School website, or publish in the IV publication, or publish in the case center? What is the advantage? I told you at the beginning of the talk when your director was spoken, the publishing a case study is considered as equivalent to publishing one C category journal. That is in our institute. In our institute, if I write a case study, that is being treated as equivalent to one C category of a research paper. If you go to IIM Ahmedabad or Bangalore, as per their workload norms, they effectively write one case study that is being treated as equivalent to one B category of a research paper. I hope you all know what is called ABDC, all those stuff, right? Or we'll talk about that sometime later. So therefore, what is the advantage for the faculty? One of your case studies being treated as equivalent to a C category paper or a B category paper. So we get some counted some against your workload norms also. Then what is the another advantage of writing your own case study? You need not necessarily depend upon some third party. You need not necessarily depend upon some US based cases, UK based cases. You can create a case study on the Indian context, which will suits more to your own subject. For example, I would like to share one of my experience. Last couple of weeks, we were taking a training program for one of the very leading, BSc listed textile company, which is based out of South India. So we were taking a in-company training program. In that in-company training program, out of the 10 cases, for example, out of the 10 cases, we used only 2 cases, the Indian cases. Remaining 8 cases were written in the US context or in UK context or in a different context. So in the feedback session, what the participants said that, sir, if you could teach some case studies as per the Indian context, especially on some textile companies, that will help us, because all the participants are from the textile company. So they said that if you could teach a case based upon the Indian context and based upon some textile companies, that would be extremely useful. So immediately when they put up the point, the CEO of the company was also sitting in the valedictory function. So immediately we put up a request to the CEO of the company. So we plan to write or we plan to document the success story of your company. So could you please give us permission? So now why do we need a permission? Can you just scroll down further? Where I had kept one PDF document called IV Business Consent. Can you come down to a couple of slides down?
Sir, did you ask to change the slide?
Yeah. Can you come to one PDF document or one JPEG format where I kept IV Business Consent? One form is there. Can you come to the...
Yes, sir. Just give me a minute.
No hurry. Yeah, this form.
So do you want me to open this form, sir?
Yeah. Otherwise, next slide also I kept that form also I kept. Or you can click this form also.
Okay.
Not opening. Okay, open the next sheet, next slide. In that I kept that JPEG image. Yes, this one only. Yeah. Yes. Next slide. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah. See, whenever you wanted to write a case study on a company, we need to get a permission from the company. We need to get permission from them because we are using the real company name. We are using the name of the CEO and everything we are using. Okay. So this is very, very important. Without getting the consent, very important. Without getting the consent, you cannot get your case studies published as it is. I say, for example, if you see this form, this is for the IV business publications. So they say consent to use. So there is one company name which I've written there called Hindustan Oil Exploration Company Limited. So this is the Bombay Stock Exchange listed company. You go to bscindia.com and you type HOEC, you will get this name of this company. Okay. So this case is about to be written by myself and a colleague of mine when I was working in IIM Shillong. So for this case study, already the approval is given by the MD of the company. So you could see his name, Mr. P. Ilango, Managing Director, Hindustan Oil Exploration Company Limited. He already given the permission. To write a case study on his company. So unless otherwise a company gives its approval, I repeat, unless otherwise a company gives its approval, we cannot use their original name and we cannot use their original data. Are you with me? Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So every company have its own it is. So how do we go and ask this MD of the company that I wanted to write a case study on your company? Can you give me permission? How do you ask? First of all, we all should go, before going to ask about the company, we should read thoroughly about the company. You meet the respective person who is supposed to sign in that paper. You have to go and talk to him. Sir, I wanted to document, look at here, I wanted to document the success story of your company. Please note this point. I wanted to document the success story of your company. Don't go and say to the company that I wanted to write a case on your company. Very important point. Because most of these people, when you say that you want to write a case study on them, what is this case study? First of all, they don't understand much. If they understand much, then they will ask you the very next question. So what is in it for me? How do you convince? Suppose if you are able to explain to the person who is in charge that you wanted to write a case study or you wanted to document the success story of your own company, then the next question what he is asking is, okay, so what is in it for me? How do you answer this question? How do you answer this question? When the CEO of the company asks you this question, okay, you write the document the success story of your company. So what is in it for us? If you ask this question, how do you convince him? Yes, Sanjina.
Yes, sir, we can answer this by explaining to them that by providing a case study or writing a case study on the success story, it not only highlights the operational efficiency and excellence that the company has acquired in the process, but it creates a brand name for them as well. It's a part of their branding process. More and more consumers or more and more stakeholders would be aware of the success processes that have gone, and it will bring them more stakeholders to them.
Okay, fine. So you may say that, sir, this will make your company popular.
Yeah,
that's what you're saying. This will make your company popular. This will make your company known not only in India, not only in India, across the globe.
Yes.
That's the most important point. You have to say that, sir, by giving permission to us to write a case to document the success story of your company. So your company is known. Your company is known among all over the world. Your company is known among all over the world in the top class business schools. In the top class business schools among the management graduates.
Yes.
Okay, that is one interesting answer you can give that you already mentioned. Another interesting answer which you can provide. Probably this could be a part of your CSR. So you permit us to write a case so that, you as a part of giving it back to the society, you allow us to write document the success story of your company. You document us to write the success story of your company. So for instance, right now we are writing a case study on this company. We already got the approval. We already got the approval from the managing director of the company. So how do we get the approval? Again, the same story. Fortunately, this gentleman was a graduate from IIM Ahmedabad, so he know what is called as a case study and everything he know. So the moment when we gone to him and say that we wanted to write the success story, he is very glad. And he is very glad, said that, okay, fine, I'm very glad to provide you the data, whatever the information you want, we are providing you. And immediately he signed the consent to use the case study. Immediately he signed the consent to use it. So now we can use all the real life name. We can use all the publicly available data, plus what are the private data that he shared with us, that we can use it as a part of in our case study, and we can do that one. So what is this company? Hindustan Oil Exploration Company Limited. This is the first private oil extraction company in India. If you look at in today's context, most of the oil extraction companies are government owned or public sector undertaking. This was the first private oil extraction company in India, and this company had a very good turnaround strategy. So this is listed in both Bombay Stock Exchange and National Stock Exchange. So when you say about this company, when students do a search and they find, yeah, we are talking about the real life company. We are talking about the real life company. So the take home point here is when you write a case study, when you go and meet the CEO or whomsoever the concerned person who will provide you the consent to use the case study, you have to go and tell them that you are coming here to document the success story of your company. So that is the catchy word you have to use. Never ever use the word, sir, we want to write a case on your company. Okay. And when they ask the question, so what is in it for us? So as already my friend Supriya said that, your company will get popularized not only in India, among the entire globe, among the young management graduate students. Okay. So this is another way of saying that. Yes. So some of you are typing some questions. Just I will look at that. Yeah.
So would you like to take up the question simultaneously, or shall we take it after the session, sir?
Oh, okay, maybe after 5-10 minutes, I will take all your queries. Put all your queries in the chat box, or you please make a note of that so that I can address all your queries.
After the session 1, sir, or after the session 2, sir?
After the session 1, maybe around 1:45, I will take it up all your queries. 1:45,
All right.
1:50. Yeah. Okay, fine. So this is what you need to do. So whenever you go to the company seeking permission to write to write the case, you have to use the word very, very choosy, and you have to tell them, sir, we wanted to write the success story of your company. So the moment when you say that you wanted to write the success story of the company, they will also be very happy, and often, I mean, at least 80-90% of the time, they will provide you permission to write a case. And what your job should do, you write a case, you make a draft case and give it to the company and show it to them. This is what you plan to write, a draft. And let them go through, and if they have any concerns, no, what you're writing here, it is not the fact, sir, you quoted a wrong number, something like that. If they felt, they may change that also. You should agree for that. And once when the case is also published, then you should also give them the published copy of the case also. You have to give it to them, so that they will appreciate the efforts put in by us. They will appreciate the efforts put in by us. Are you getting? So the take-home point is, whenever you go to a company seeking permission to write a case, you have to use the word that you wanted to document the success story of the company, and it will be discussed across the globe in the top-class business school among the management graduates. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Now, can you move to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
So written permission is must. That I keep on repeatedly saying, the written permission is must. You have to obtain that, without which our case study will not go to top class case repository. Suppose let us say that I got the data, sir, but somehow the CEO is not very happy, or the reluctant. He is very reluctant to give me the consent form. Can't I publish my case? Yes, you can publish, but it will take some time. It will take a lot of time, not some time. It will take a quite significant amount of time to get it published, because you think from the case publisher's point of view. You think from the case publisher's point of view. From the case publisher's point of view, I say, sir, I wrote a case study on Hindustan Oil Exploration Company. So where is the evidence that you did the research? You use all their name, you take all the data from the public space, you download the annual report and take the information, you go to the stock exchange website and take all the information about the stock price movement and all those things. But where is the proof, or where is the evidence that you did everything on your own? So that evidence is the consent. That evidence is the consent. So generally, if I'm not able to get the consent, then can't I write a case study? Yes, there is a technique. There is a way out. There is a way out. But that way out is bit tricky. When I say bit tricky, it's not very difficult. What you need to do, then we are not permitted to use the original name of the company. We are not permitted to use the original name of the company. For instance, in this case, I told you that I used the name of the company, Hindustan Oil Exploration Company Limited. Suppose if the MD of the company is reluctant to give me a case study, but I already got all the data available in the public space. I downloaded the annual report. I got the data from the BSc, and I got the data. And when the CEO is reluctant to give the consent form, then probably what I have to do, I have to disguise the name of the company. That is the only way out. That is the only way out. I have to disguise the name of the company. What do you mean disguising the name of the company? For instance, the name of the company is Hindustan Oil Exploration Company Limited. So in this, instead of Hindustan, I go to use some other name. Instead of Hindustan, I go to use some other company name. Are you getting the point? So wherever the original name of the company, the registered name of the company and registered characters of the company is coming, I go to change. Instead of Hindustan, I go to use some other name of the company. I go to use ABC Oil Exploration Company Limited. I go to say that. Or XYZ Oil Exploration Company Limited. And the original name of the managing director is supposed to be Ilango, then I go to use a different name called Ravi. Okay. And I can use all the information available in the public space. I can take that. I can use that. And the catch is, because I don't have the consent with me, so I disguise the name of the company and I disguise all the characters' name. Okay. And I may use the real data. I can use the real data. I can use the real numbers, everything real-time number I can use, but I don't only disguise the name of the company. I go to disguise the name of the characters in my case. But when you submit this case to the case consortium, either Harvard Business School or Ivy Business case, you have to mention the case is being disguised. Very, very important point. You have to disguise that the case is being written by taking the information available in the public space. I have not gone to the company and obtained the requisite data. I have not gone to the company and obtained the required data. I collected most of the data from the public space. So I downloaded the annual report from there. I got the data. I look at the Bombay Stock Exchange and got all the data. I look at the NSE and got all the data. I took all the data which are available in the public space. So I have not got the consent of the company. So when you submit your case to these case repositories, you go to say that this is a disguised case. The name of the company is being disguised. Okay. Will there be any problem? No problem, because I am not able to get the consent of the company because the MD of the company is a little reluctant, or the CEO of the company is reluctant to give me the permission. So there is no other way for me. I disguise the name of the company and send it to the repository, and the repositories will publish. But only condition, nowhere in the case, I repeat, nowhere in the case, the original name of the company should get reflected. Nowhere in the case, the original characters of the company should get reflected, because they will do a search. See, when we submit our case, what is the process is happening? It's a very interesting process. When we submit our case to any of these case repositories, no professor will read the case first. So they have many research assistants are being hired by these institutions who are only graduates. So what they do, they check your case is as per the author's guideline. So whether your font size is as per this one. So they check the preliminary check for the author guidelines adherence. That is what they do. They do a prelim check of author guidelines adherence. So I said that, hey, look, this Hindustan oil, this is not Hindustan oil exploration. This is called ABC oil exploration. So they check. So they do a search whether this ABC oil exploration is a realistic company. Like that, they do a search and check. And in the entire case study, we should not use any other name, which is realistic. For instance, in my case study, inside my case study, I write State Bank of India. Are you getting? Inside my case study, you use the word State Bank of India. Then they will ask me, sir, you are using the word State Bank of India. You got to obtain permission from State Bank of India for using their name. So you should be very clever. You should be very careful while writing the different entities of State Bank of India. You put some other name. You put ABC Bank. You can put some other bank, some other bank name. Okay, that is the most important point, because these assistants who are initially reviewing your case, they don't use use anything else. They only adhere with the norms, whether your case is as per the author guidelines, or using any real life name like that. They do the preliminary check. Once when they do the preliminary check and our case is as per the requirement of the case repository, then case will be sent to one professor, one or two professors. Generally, it will be sent to two professors. The two professors will read the case and give their comments. And again, the case will be coming back to you, your original case that you submit, plus the comments from the two reviewers. And then whatever the reviewers comment, we need to incorporate. Wherever it is possible to incorporate, you can incorporate. Wherever you want to defend, you go to defend. And as it's a very usual process of review of responding back to the reviewer's comment. So once when you responded back, again the case along with your reply, revised manuscript goes to the reviewer, and the reviewer look at that one, and if they are satisfied, they may say that yes, accepted. They may say yes, accepted. Are you getting? So this is a process like publishing like a research article. It also goes into two blind review, and you get the comments from the two reviewer, and you have to respond back to the reviewer's comment, and finally it gets accepted. Okay. So what will be the typical time, sir, to get my case published? That's a very often, we have the common question. If I submit my case in the month of July, generally speaking, I'm talking out of my past experience, out of writing case studies in finance, generally within the 3 months, I repeat, within the 3 months time window, the entire process will be completed. Which means submitting the case today in the month of July, and getting the initial comment from the RAs of the repository. Then it goes to the reviewer, then getting back the comments from the reviewer, assuming that once when I get the comment within 1 month of window, I'm able to work on the comments, and again I'm resending it to the reviewer, and the entire process of submission to the acceptance, including my response back to the reviewer, could be completed in a span of 3 months of time window. This 3 months of time window is comparing to publishing an article. This is much less. If you submit your paper to a B category journal or to a C category journal, it may take months. For 6 months, you may not hear anything from the editor. So you have to keep on sending a reminder. Sir, what is the status of my manuscript, sir? I submitted sometime in the month of June, July. They say, yeah, we'll say we already sent it to the reviewer. Or if you, nowadays there is no need to send a mail. We can check online what is the status of the manuscript that we submitted. It will show that sent for review. It will show the status and for you. So it may take the minimum 6 months to get response from some of the journals in the finance area. But if you look at the case study, especially in the finance area, within a time span of 3 months time window, the entire process of submission to the acceptance will be completed. In that way, you can turn around more number of cases than that of the papers. So assuming that there is a 3 months time window, and you are having continuously you are writing the case studies, in 1 year you can write four case studies. In 1 year, theoretically, you can write 4 case studies in 1 year, because every 3 months you can write 1 case study, theoretically, assuming that you don't have any other commitment. Are you getting my point? Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, fine. So I think it's 1:50. So I will stop now and I will take all your queries till 2 o'clock. Okay, I could see here one question raised by Geeta Mishra. I have a question about case setting. Can I ask you now or later? You can ask your query. Ruchi Kalia, please guide how can a case study be converted into research paper. Your case study itself is a research paper. Because in most of the top class business schools, one case study is treated as equivalent to one C category paper. One case study is being treated as equivalent to one C category paper. So therefore, one case itself is equal to a paper. Okay. Geeta Mishra, my question is, how are commentary cases in Harvard different? What is this? I'm not getting your question. What do you mean?
Okay, so good afternoon.
Yeah,
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. So, sir, I do understand, and many thanks for all the insights. It's a very helpful workshop. Sir, I do understand that there needs to be a consent by the company, and then only we can proceed with the publication. Correct. And the cases in the Ivy or IIM Lausanne, so they are also listed in Harvard. Correct. But my question was that, if we directly want to get into Harvard, so instead of, so if we direct like HBR cases, right? So, sir, these days when I was having access to the website, I saw that very short commentary cases have also been published, which do not require a teaching note. Okay. Yeah. So if you can just tell me about that, because I have case study publications, but I was reading. So in these commentary cases, they have perspectives from the industry also. Correct. So, I got your question. Yeah. And so just one more thing. So, sir, I was just reading through one of the cases where it said that, it's a fictional case. Howsoever, some name of the company is there. I was just checking whether it is a real company or, like you were mentioning, or a fictitious one. So does Harvard, because I was under the impression that Harvard does not accept any case which does not have the consent directly from the company, because they do their background check that, how authentic is the case. So is it a possibility that from a public... I will answer both your question. Yeah. First of all, your question, whether can I directly publish my case studies in Harvard Business Publication or HBSP? The answer for the question is straight no. You and me cannot directly write in the Harvard Business School case repository, because in Harvard Business School repository, only Harvard Business School faculty are permitted to write case studies directly. But there is a indirect way in which you and me can get our case studies get listed in Harvard Business School publication. Because when you write a case study for Ivy business publication, when you write a case for Ivy business cases, by default, your case study get listed in the Harvard Business School case repository. If anyone searches the case with my name, you can see my case. My name is appearing in both the Ivy Business Case Repository as well as in Harvard Business School Case Repository. So by default, all the case studies which are part and parcel of the Ivy Business cases are also being listed in the Harvard Business School website. So in that way, we can go into In that way, we can get our cases listed in the Harvard Business School websites. Sir, I'm sorry to, I'm really sorry to interrupt a while. So, like I was seeing that in HBR, the faculties were not from Harvard. They also had their independent publications in HBR, particularly. That's what I'm saying. See, for instance, IIM Bangalore have a tie-up with Harvard Business School. So then IIM Bangalore faculty can directly write and publish their case studies in the Harvard Business School HBR website. So unless otherwise we have a tie-up or MOU with that with the HBSP, we cannot publish our case studies. Okay. So therefore, what I suggest to start with, so that is to be done at the the institute level, at the institution level. So you have to ask your institute to apply, get in touch with HBS to have a collaboration. Right? All those things are that is not within our purview. So how do I overcome this problem? No worries, I'm giving you another way out.
The another way out is you target IB Business School. You write a case study and send it to IB Publishing. And once when IB Publishing accepts your case study, by default, I repeat, by default, your case study is also getting listed in the Harvard Business School website. So in that way, your cases are getting listed in both IB as well as in HBSP. Okay. Now coming to your second question about the commentary. The commentary cases are, for instance, I can write a background note, or what according to you it's a commentary. I can write a background note on how pharmaceutical companies in India are operating. Very simple. I write a commentary note how pharmaceutical companies in India are operating. Probably this commentary note could be a background reading. This could probably be a background reading for a case study, because I plan to write a case study on a pharmaceutical company, namely Dr. Reddy's lab. I'm planning to write a case on that. So for that, because the international audience may not know how the pharmaceutical industry in India is operating, so I am giving them an industry note or a commentary. So when I'm going to teach this Reddy's lab case in my class, I ask all the students to read this industry background note. I will ask all the students to read the industry background note. So that, but as far as the work equivalence is concerned, I'm talking only from IIM Trichy. As far as the work equivalent norm is concerned, your industry note or the commentary note will not be considered as equivalent to a case. Your industry note will not be considered, though it is published in the Harvard Business School. What is considered as a case should be a full-fledged case. If I write a teaching note, if I write an industry note, that will not be counted as a part of the case study. So that is what we do in our institute. Of course, this will vary from the institute to institute, but by and large, if you write an industry note, that is not considered as equivalent to a case.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Any other queries?
Not from my side, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, sir. There's a query in the chat box from Mr. Uday.
Briefly convey about ABC publication. I will explain you post lunch. We'll talk about that. What is called ABC publication? How do I get my paper published over there? That we'll talk in the post lunch. So this session I am devoting exclusively for what is called as a case method of teaching. How do I write a case study? So that is what is the focus of this particular session. And this session's focus is also where do I get my case studies published? Where do I get my case studies published? So I told you three important repositories, namely Harvard, Ivy, and Case Center. Apart from these three, you also have many other publication houses are there, but these are the top three. These are the top three. You can target these top three, and if you get published in either in Case Center or in Ivy, by default you get your cases listed in Harvard Business School, and other repository collection, it will get published. So therefore, there is no need to look at other repositories. What are other repositories? We can focus only on these three repositories only. So the another common issue is, if I am not getting the consent, what do I need to do? I need to disguise the name of the company. I need to disguise the name of the company. By and large, if you disguise the name of the company, no queries are being raised. As Madam Geeta was saying that she wrote a case with the real name. See, if they are not, if the TA is not bothered about the real name, then it will get clear. But often when you write in Ivy business cases, they are very much concerned with the copyright issues. So in one of my case studies, I used the name of the bank as State Bank of India. So they wrote me back, sir, you are using the name State Bank of India. You got to obtain permission from State Bank of India for using their name. Then I said, I cannot obtain permission from State Bank of India for using their name. I simply changed the name of the bank. I put some other bank name. I put some other imaginary bank name. Okay. So in order to avoid all these kind of queries, it's a good idea if we could use all the fictitious name or all the imaginary name we can use, and we can declare upfront. The name of the company is being disguised. The data is also being disguised. That we can declare upfront. Are you getting?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Any other queries?
I think no more queries, sir, for now.
Okay, so
There is one query, sir.
Could you please share the names of the three publications? I already shared. I already shared in the top of the chat box. When I'm sharing again. Ivy Business Publishing. and casecenter.org. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So these are the repositories where you can publish. Okay, any other queries?
Not for now, sir.
Okay, there are no
Sir, a
other
small
queries, we
doubt.
can stop. Yeah, yes, go ahead. Yeah.
Sir, once we get a permission from the company, as we told, we are writing about the success story of the company. Then
Correct.
how can we raise a negative points about that particular organization in our case, sir? Is it possible?
Yeah, you can write because you and me are the independent people. No, you and me are the independent people. So that's the reason why I said that once when you write the case, you draft case, you have to give it to the company. So the company will also go through. They will not give you the consent immediately. You have to write the case draft and you have to submit the draft to the company, and the company people will go through, and if they have any concerns, they will ask you.
In order to get the permission from the company, so we are avoiding raising the negative points. Then
You can write the facts as a fact. You are not taking any judgment. You are not sharing the teaching note with them. You are not sharing the teaching note. In the teaching note only you bring all the points. You share only the case with the company. Only you share the case with the company. Suppose you write a very strong point, negative point about the company, then definitely they will object. If you write a strong negative points about the company, they will object. So you have to write in such a manner that they should not object. You can write about negative point, but you write in such a manner with a mild negative tone. You can write, and generally they will not object. And this is more for teaching purpose. You are not going to publish in the newspaper. It's more for teaching purpose inside the classroom.
yes. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Any other queries? Okay. If there are no other queries, can you take a break of how much time, madam, we are having?
Yes, sir.
So we'll take a break for 15 minutes, sir.
Okay, fine. So again, we'll meet at 2:15. We'll meet.
Yes, sir. I would request everyone to please come back for the second session at 2:15 sharp.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for such a wonderful session. Now we will take a short break for refreshing ourselves. I request all the participants to proceed for the break and yes, assemble back after 15 minutes on the same link. You all can proceed for the break.
Yes, sir. Welcome back, sir.
Sorry for the delay. Thank you.
No problem, sir.
Because 15 minutes in South Indian standard is only tea time.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I understand.
Okay, I managed to get neat lunch.
Just give us a Shubham.
Okay, I welcome you all in the second half of the session. Now, I would like to request our esteemed dignitary, Dr. P. Saravanan, sir, to take over the session. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Before the lunch break, we were talking about case as a method of teaching, and how do we use case as a method of teaching as a pedagogical tool. We saw that. And we also discussed about how to write a case study and where to get your case studies published, and how do we get the case study published by means of with consent, without consent. Like that, we look at various parameters. Any doubts on those topics before proceeding further? Any doubts on those topics that we discussed earlier? Any doubts on that? You feel free to ask, or you type it in the chat box. I'm glad to take the queries, if any. Any queries on case as a method of teaching and how to write and publish your cases? Okay, can you give me permission to share my slide so that I will show you something? Team, can you stop sharing and give me permission to share my slide? Because yeah, thank you. Okay, are you able to see this case on your screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is my case, which I published some time ago. So this is a covalent term loan for expansion modernization. So this myself and a colleague of mine, we both wrote. You could see, Maram Srikanth was my co-author and me, we wrote. My colleague Maram Srikanth was formerly a banker. So he have a very good network connect with the various companies. So we both go to different companies and he get the consent quickly. Then I write the case study. He was earlier associated with the IDBI Bank. So we cannot use the word IDBI Bank. So we simply, change the name of the bank, say Commercial Development Bank of India. So like that we change the name, but the name of these companies are true. So this is a Covalent Laboratories Private Limited. We call as a CLPL. So this is my case, which runs typically about 10 pages. Okay. So I said that I written more cases. This is another case called Coromandel. So some of you might heard about this company. So Coromandel Fertilizers, Coromandel International. So this belongs to Murugappa group of companies, and we wrote a case on this company also. I will show you how a case study look like that. So whenever we write a case as a faculty, we should also share something with the IV or with the case center. We have to provide something called teaching note. Is it visible? Teaching note is visible for you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So if you look at the teaching note, typically you can see here what are the learning objectives by giving this case. What are the teaching objectives that you are trying to fulfill? Where you can question this course and what are the relevant readings, right? And if you observe here, we are also giving some assignment question. Suppose if you wanted to use this case, you can directly take the 4 questions and you can give this question to the students with reference to this particular case called NATCO Pharma. So in the NATCO Pharma, you can give the case to the students, and along with the case, you can give them the 4 questions. If you see the next one, this is something very interesting called a teaching plan. So how this case can be discussed over a period of 90 minutes. So you can see here, first 10 minutes, what the instructor should do, remaining 20 minutes, what he should do, remaining 10 minutes, remaining 20 minutes, remaining 20 minutes, like that, how the case can be taken into account. So the answer for all the 4 questions are also documented. You see here, we asked to discuss NPL dilemma and all those things. So the answer for all the 4 questions are given. So as a faculty, it will be easier for you to look at the question and to look at the answers. To look at the question and look at the answers. And either you can go ahead with the same teaching plan, or you can also take your own, teaching note, or you can make your own plan. At the end of the case, we are also giving something to the audience called what actually happened. So there is a particular scenario is given, and for that scenario, we are giving what are the different options and how one person can react towards that. At the end of the case, we are also talking about what actually happened in the real life. In real life, what actually happened. That also we are giving it over here. And these are something called as the exhibits or annexures to the teaching note. So typically, a teaching note as well as a case should not exceed not more than 10 to 12 pages. Typically, a case size as well as a case teaching note should not exceed not more than 10 to 12 pages. And please note that this teaching note is only meant for you, the faculty. At any given point of time, you are not supposed to share this with the student. At any given point of time, you are not supposed to share the teaching note with the students. You can share the case study with the students. You can share the case study with the student, and you're not supposed to share the teaching note with the student. Is it clear? So this is the teaching note for Coromandel. I shown you just now. So you see the number of pages, only 11 pages. The number of pages of the teaching note of the case, teaching note is only 11 pages. You see the cases, the case is 13 pages. The case is 13 pages. This is Coromandel, and the teaching note is only 11 pages. Okay. So these are some of my cases that I wrote. So I will skip these things. Okay. Any queries on case publishing? Any queries on case publishing?
Sir, can you please share those case studies?
Yeah, I will share. All the materials I will mail it to the organizers, and in return they will share it with you.
Yes, thank you.
Now, in the previous, are you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In the previous session, some of you are asking some queries related to, what is this ABDC and all those things. In that line of thought, I would like to discuss with you, for whatever the time available for us, I'd like to discuss with you, how do I identify a topic for writing a research article? This is the most important question, because often or sometimes we run out of topics. Or how do I identify a topic for writing a research article? So can I simply go ahead with what? Suppose if you're doing a full-time PhD, if you're a full-time research scholar, can I simply go ahead with whatever my supervisor is saying? Can I choose this as my topic? Or I'm reading a paper, in the paper, towards the end of the paper, they are giving some future directions. Can I take that as my topic? How do I actually identify a topic for writing a research article? Now we will shift the gear, or we will shift the focus from case writing to research paper writing, because the research paper writing is also equally important. At least in some of the institute, one case study is equal to one C category paper. In some places, they may not have that same equivalence. They say that case is alag, research paper is alag. You go to research paper means only research paper, not case study. If that is the scenario, how do we go ahead with writing a research paper? And in that thread of discussion, the very common important question to us is, how do I identify a topic for my research? Can I simply go ahead with whatever my supervisor says? Or I read one paper, in that paper, towards the end of the paper, they had given the future directions of the research. So can I pick up those topics from there directly? Okay. So this is the very common questions that students will encounter, or the faculty will encounter while you are doing a research. Okay. So before going to find out the answer for that question, let me ask you a couple of questions. Okay. First and foremost question to you all, feel free to answer. Why do you all like to do research? First of all, why do you all wanted to do research? What is the reason? Why do you all like to do research? Yes.
So out of curiosity, sir.
Okay, so I have some curiosity to find out some answer for some interesting questions. Very good answer. I have curiosity. Okay, very good answer. Any other answer? Is there any full-time PhD scholar? You can say that, sir, unless otherwise I publish 2 papers, I am not allowed to submit my thesis. In our institute, that is the rule. In our institute, you wanted to clear your comprehensive qualifying examination. After that, you go to appear for the CQU, you go to publish at least 1 paper in B category journal. So then only you are allowed to give your CQU examination. In many of the universities are having the condition that before submitting the thesis, you should submit two of your research papers related to your thesis should be published. I hope in most of the universities and IITs have this kind of rule. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes.
many mandatory publications are there in the university system, right? Okay. So because I'm a full-time scholar, I wanted my paper to get published so that I can progress to the next level. Okay, very good. If you are a faculty, why do you like to publish? You are already a full professor. Imagine you are already, some of you are already a full professor. Still you wanted to do some research. What is the reason? You already got the promotion from assistant to associate, associate to full professor. Now you are the full professor in your institute and still you want to do research. What is the reason?
So to add some value in that particular field, sir.
Okay, to add some value in that particular field. Okay, very good. Okay, any other reason? So if I don't do research, I cannot command respect from my own students. If I don't do research, I cannot command respect from my own students. So nobody will come to do PhD under me. Why? Because I have not published anything in the last 5 years. Imagine that I have not published any paper, any single paper in the last 5 years. No PhD scholar will choose me as a supervisor. So if I don't publish, I lose respect in the minds, in the eyes of the students. I lose respect among my own peers. My own peers don't give me respect if I don't publish in good quality journals. Are you getting? So suppose if you are an assistant professor, why do you want to publish? Very plain and simple. Sir, first of all, I wanted to get confirmed. Okay, in good universities and good institute, if you wanted to get confirmed, they give normally some 2 years of probation. If you wanted to get confirmed after the probation, then you need to show some tangible output. You may be a good teacher. You may be a good teacher. You may be getting out of 5, you are getting 4.99. You are getting a feedback. You may be a good teacher. But to confirm you, to regularize you, they ask you, hey, where is the tangible output? Where is the intellectual output for you? Have you written any paper? Have you written any case studies? They will ask you. So to get confirmed, I need to publish some papers. Or I already got confirmed as assistant professor. I put in the requisite experience as per the university norm and as per the institute guideline. So now I have to apply for next level of promotion. I wanted to apply for associate professor. So they have certain set of guidelines. In the last 3 years, you should publish a minimum 3B or 2A. I will explain you what is called BA and all. I will explain to you shortly. Already one of the participants asked. I will explain to you all those things shortly. But they have some norm. In the last 3 years, that's the most important point. I'm already an assistant professor. I wanted to apply for associate professor. They say that in the last 3 years, I should have minimum 2B. Why they talk about only last 3 years? That is what most of the institutes are looking at right now. Say, I got a PhD from Harvard Business School. Okay, that may be 20 years ago. So that doesn't matter now. So when I apply for promotion or when I apply for next level, they say, okay, it's all well, you got a very high degree from the top class school. What have you done in the last 3 years in your academic career? That is what people will look at that. Maximum 4 years. That's all. Beyond that, they don't care what you did, where you got your PhD. Nobody cares. They look at only in the last 3 years or 4 years, what have you contributed to your own field of investigation, to your own field of research. You cannot say, sir, I am the best teacher in my institute. I got 4.9 feedback out of 5. Do you know what is the answer? In the promotion committee, you go for the promotion and you tell them that you are the best faculty in your own college or in your own university. You get 4.9 out of 5. But you don't have a research. So what the selection committee will tell you? What the selection committee will tell you? Yes, I myself faced this experience. So when I appeared for the interview in IIM Trichy, I claimed, sir, I'm the best faculty in IIM Shillong. I got a feedback of 4.9 out of 5. You know what the answer from one of the panel member? If you are a teacher, if you are a teacher or if you are a professor, you are supposed to teach well. That's all. Are you getting my point? He said that if you are a teacher or if you are a professor, you are supposed to teach well. So you cannot claim that I'm the best teacher. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Are you getting? So therefore, you cannot go and say I'm the best teacher. I got highest feedback, 4.9 out of 5. He simply, discounted my statement saying that if you are a teacher, you are supposed to teach well. Apart from teaching, what have we done in the last 3 years? So you can show. I written 4 cases. I published this 3 Bs. I published 2 As. Like that you can show, right? So why people do research? There are various reasons. I wanted to get confirmed, or I wanted to get promoted. Okay, or I wanted to get command. I wanted to get respect in the minds of the students. If I don't publish, the students don't give respect. I mean, when I say students, I'm talking about the research scholars. Research scholars don't respect me. Hey, this professor never published, man, last 5 years. So my own colleagues may not respect me. Are you getting? So there are various implications. That's the reason why we all like to do research in addition to whatever the answers you mentioned that we are doing that one. Next comes to another interesting question. What kind of research that you wanted to do? What is that? What is called kind of research? Research is a research only, no? Research is a research only. Where is the question of kind of research? What I meant by kind of research, are you interested in applied research or are you interested in empirical research? What is this? I'm not talking about the methods. I'm asking about the kind of the research. Are you interested in the applied research or are you interested in the empirical research? What is this? Applied research, empirical research, I don't understand. What is this term called applied research and what is this called empirical research or something like that? Yes. Feel free to interact. Or you can type your answers in the chat box. I can see so that.
Sir, if I'm not wrong, I would like to try.
Yes, there is no right wrong answer, madam.
Okay.
There is no right wrong answer. Feel free to share your
As
thoughts.
per my understanding, applied research is the one that gives a solution to the immediate problem.
Okay, very good. Okay.
Which I believe which is also known as action research.
Okay, very good. Action-based research. Very good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as far as the other empirical research is concerned, so we use a lot of tools to prove your objectives with a lot of hypotheses involved in that.
Okay, right. Okay, very good. Yeah. So action research or applied research, according to my friend, is nothing but you try to find out some problem, some problem in your hand and try to find out some solution for the problem in your hand. Okay, that's called applied research. You try to find out some solution for the ongoing problem. For instance, one of the very popular company approached me. Okay, a popular bank approached me, and they asked me, they wanted to know answer for couple of questions, all applied research. They say they wanted to know the answer for the question, post COVID-19, do the spending pattern of people change? Are you getting? So this is one of the very leading bank based out of South India. They wanted to know one answer for the simple question, post COVID-19, the spending pattern of people in southern part of the country changed, or it remains the same as what used to be. So what used to be, they already have the answer. What used to be pre-COVID-19, people, the bank already have the answer. Now they wanted to know the post-COVID, whether the people's spending pattern is changed. So this is a very plain, straight, one single question. For that, they wanted to know the answer. So they came to me. It's a very popular bank. They say, sir, can you find out answer for us this question? So this is not part of my research agenda this year. They came, and this is more of a applied research, more of applied and practical research. They wanted to know that is any change in the spending pattern of people living in southern India post COVID. So I said, okay, I'm willing to do this research on behalf of you, and they paid some money, and I carry out some of the research, and the findings are very interesting. So I made a presentation to them saying that, look, there is a drastic change in the spending pattern of people after the COVID-19. So so far they were sitting like this in the chat. When I say there is a change in the spending pattern, everyone woke up and come close to me saying that, tell me, Professor, what are the changes we wanted to know? Why they wanted to know as a bank? Why they wanted to know what are the changes in the spending pattern of people living in southern India post COVID? Why they wanted to know? Accordingly, they can design their loan products. If they know how people spend money, accordingly they can design their loan products. Okay, that's the ultimate agenda. So this is more of an action-oriented research, because bank is scratching their head. Hey, post COVID, how the people behave, man, in terms of spending. So they don't have any answer. So I find out an answer for them, and I gave the answer, for which they paid me some money. So this is more of an action research or applied research. So very plain and simple. So how do people spend their money post-COVID? That's all. Straight question, one single question. You need to find out an answer for this question. Okay. Now, how about the typical empirical research, which we normally target for some standard research journals? So as already my friend said, that you have certain specific objectives. You wanted to check those objectives through hypothesis by empirically collecting the data. You may collect the data through secondary source. You may collect the data through the primary source. You collect the data and prove or disprove that hypothesis. In this process, you also try to find out answer for the objectives that you stated earlier. And ultimately, this output of 20 pages, whatever you're writing, that goes into some top class journals, which will be read by 100, 200, or 2,000 people. Selected peoples who are working in your own area of research. Are you with me? Are you getting me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when you wanted to do research, we all wanted to do research. First, you have to freeze yourself what kind of research that you are interested in doing. Whether you are more interested in applied research, or am I more interested in the empirical research? You have to take a call. So which one we should go? Or we should go as per the experience of our supervisor, or as per our own interest, or as per the opportunity available. How do we go about with that? Which research I should do? Or what kind of research I should do? What kind of research that I should do? How do you take a call?
So Ms. Ruchi Kalia has raised her hand.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, that depends on the requirement of the researcher.
Okay.
Like if a professor is conducting a research for their promotion perspective, so they can go with any of the kind of research there, like for the applied or as well as for the empirical.
Okay.
But if I talk about the PhD scholars or someone else who is into like on the completion of their PhDs, so I would suggest that those students or those scholars will go for the empirical research definitely.
Okay, very good.
If I'm not wrong, so please
Very
correct me.
good. Yeah. So it depends upon various factors. Who are you? As you said that I'm a PhD scholar, so I need to focus more of an empirical research. Why? Because I need to submit the empirical research. I need to get it published elsewhere. I need to get into job market. Right? Or I am already working in an organization, and one company comes to me straight away, walk into my office or knock at my door, and they're asking, Professor, can you find out an answer for this question? Assuming that I have some amount of time at my hand and whatever the consultancy fees that they offer is also lucrative, then I may say yes. Okay. So it is a function of various factors. We cannot say that yes to all the things. We cannot say yes to. So for the applied research, you should have an expertise, and you should also have a time. You should also have an interest. So unless otherwise you have all these three things, we cannot go ahead with that. So the answer for this question actually depends upon various factors. Okay. But however, you should know broadly, these are the two types of research, you can say that. So if you define what is research, this is the standard definition given by Paul and Hogan. It's a systematic process, problem solving, and we wanted to understand better an existing issue. So this is what is called as a research. And how about the applied research? Most applied research begins when you select an everyday problem or an interest or a concern for further study. So this is called as a problems of practice. Okay. So a bank wanted to know the spending pattern of people after a particular event. So that's a practice problem. So we can look at that. Okay. So once you got a clear-cut answer, whether you wanted to focus more on the empirical based work or you wanted to focus more on the applied research, then accordingly we can proceed further. Okay. Now you wanted to do an empirical work for the sake of simplicity. How do you generate a topic for research? That's the most interesting question. So can you simply go ahead with whatever your supervisor is saying? Or normally when you look at some papers, at the end of the paper, they normally recommend, the area, the direction for future research. They give you something. Can I take that? How do we generate a research topic for you? It's a very important question. Once when you develop the question, how do you, broad question. Once when you develop a broad question, then how do you choose a topic? That's another interesting question. Once you develop the question, then how do you go ahead with your research project? What I meant by research project is your research paper. Each research paper or your PhD thesis that you're writing, I call that as a research project, right? Okay. So these are the three important questions. How do you broadly choose the topic? Then what is the specific research question that you are going to ask? And the third one is how do you execute or how do you go ahead with writing the paper? So these are the three important pertinent questions. So the first question, before beginning any research project or any topic of research, you should find out answer for the following. It's a very, very important question you have to answer, including if you're a fresh PhD. First question is, will anybody care about the answer that I plan to find out? That's a very important point. In the example which I said in the applied research, one of the bank walked into my office and asked a specific question. So they care a lot. They wanted to know the answer for that question. For that, to know the answer for that question, they paid me 20 lakhs. They paid me 20 lakhs and they wanted to know the answer for that question. So will anybody care? Suppose if I do an empirical work, will anybody care about the answer for this question? So in this question, who is this anybody? Who is this anybody? Can you think? Will anybody care about the answer that I try to bring in to the table? In this anybody, who is this anybody? Yes? Who's called this anybody?
Sir, it could be a target audience.
Yeah, who is the target audience?
So maybe the people who are interested in such kind of researches.
Okay. Okay, be specific. Who are interested in such kind of research?
Academicians.
Okay, academicians. Within academicians?
Industry experts as well.
Okay, okay. See, in this question, whatever the answer you said, everything is correct. My way of looking at this is, will anybody care? In my eyes, the anybody is the future editors of the journals. In this anybody, when I find out answer for this question, will there any editor of the journals be interested to know the answer? I will be interested in these questions. That is what I meant by, will anybody care about the answer? Are you with me? Apart from what are the people you said that, I am more concerned with the editors of the journals. So why should I concern with the editors of the journals apart from the academicians, other people that you just now mentioned? Why should I worry more about the editors?
Because ultimately they are the ones who are going to publish it, and the motive for writing a paper is definitely publishing that paper.
Yeah, very good. So that is where your focus should be. That is where your focus should be, apart from what are the people that you mentioned, just now you mentioned. Okay. So the first question is, will anybody care about the answer? Second question, is there any utility in my answer? When I say is there any utility in my answer, the very common mistake what most of the Indian researchers are doing, there is one paper did the research in US. I simply replicate that study in India. There is one research already carried out in US. I simply replicate or duplicate the study, but only the context is changing. In that paper, they studied about the US stock market listed companies, whereas I'm going to talk about the Indian stock market listed company. That is the only difference. In that paper, they talked about S&P 500. Here, I'm going to talk about the BSE 500 company. That is the only difference. Otherwise, the research question is same. Otherwise, the hypothesis is same. Literature is the same. Only change is the data point. The context change. So, is there any utility in that answer? I conclude that there is no difference between the findings of the US paper and the paper in the Indian context. When you change the context also, I am getting the same answer. So, is there any utility in such kind of paper, such kind of answer, not paper, in such kind of answer? Basically, what I am trying to say, if I do any duplicate or replica of the studies in India, only by changing the data set, will there be any value added? Is there any utility? Yes? Think and tell me, no hurry.
So nothing new is added in that case.
Okay, nothing new is added in that case. Okay. So
then what to do about that utility to create that
that is
utility?
the most important question. So that thing new, I simply replicate. So that's why I often tell the students, don't do replica studies. So I'm telling you the same thing to you also. Never ever do replica studies. So one can argue, sir, how do you say no, don't do replica studies, sir? That study was carried out in 1960. I'm carrying out in 2022. That study was conducted in the US market. I'm doing it in the Indian market. So all good. You can say that. Oh, I'm not denying all those things. But in the you have to see with reference to the term called any utility in that answer. Will anybody, first of all, will anybody care? Second is there any utility in my answer? I simply repeat, no, there is no difference between 1960 paper of Jensen and McLean and my paper of 2022. Then obviously the editor will ask you, why should I publish? Obviously, editor will ask, why should I publish your paper in my journal? Because there is no utility. There is no utility in the answer, right? Okay. Next interesting question that you have to ask. This is a very, very important point. Whether this research question is doable within the given amount of time. I repeat, whether this research question is doable within the given amount of time. So if you are a full-time PhD scholar, the amount of time available in your hands is equal to only 3 years or 4 years, depending upon the institute where you study your PhD. The amount of time in your hand is only 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, whatever the time duration in your institute. So you have a very ambitious research question. You wanted to cover the entire earth. That will be very ambitious. But is it doable within 3 years? Is it doable within 3 years? That is the most important question that every research scholar or every faculty should ask before you commence your research paper or before you commence your research project or research paper. Because the amount of time available to you and me is only 24 hours. Within that, if you are already a faculty, your significant amount of time goes only on teaching. Then after teaching, what is left over, you have to do preparation. After doing the preparation, what is left over? Within the given amount of time available at your hand, whether is it doable? So sometime, or if you're a PhD scholar, again, you would ask the same question of 3 years, is it doable? Because often students or the researchers have an ambitious research question. It's well and good. I'm not saying that you should not have an ambitious question, but that question should be solvable, or you have to find out answer for that question within the given amount of time. If you ask me in my board, for each paper, I normally write a definite time frame. For each paper that I'm working, I put a definite time frame in my board. So I wanted to work on a particular paper. I put that as on this particular date, I should have done this one. So what is the need to put this definite time frame? So you are working on the paper, you can work through, sir. Why you wanted to put a time frame for that? What is the reason? What is the reason to give a time frame? Definite time frame. Yes. What is the reason? What is the reason to give a time frame, definite time frame?
Because the data that we collected today may not be same tomorrow, sir.
Okay.
Over a period.
Data may become obsolete. Very good answer. The data may become obsolete. Okay. Yes. Varudini, you wanted to answer?
So I wanted to actually ask a question, sir. Like
Yeah,
when I read a lot of PhD theses, there are titles saying that it is a study on this or like more of survey kind of studies, sir.
Okay.
So is it proper research, sir?
Yeah, see, so whether you do it a survey-based research or you do, secondary data, it doesn't matter. What matter is whether the research question is interesting. That is what matter. So that is more of a methodology, whether I can go for a secondary-based source or I can go with the primary data or I can go with there are different methods. There are different methodologies out there, most of you know. But the most interesting point, what you have to ask is whether the research question is interesting. Are there any utility in the answer? That is what you have to ask. That's what you have to answer. That is what you have to find out. Okay, fine. I could see one more hand. Ruchi, Kalia.
Yes, sir. Sir, I have one question related to my PhD thesis only. Like, I am unable to identify the research titles, like for my research articles related to my PhD thesis. So it seems like that whenever I thought of any of the title, I come up that is somewhere the same which I am having in my PhD thesis. So how could I differentiate that research article's title through my PhD thesis?
Okay, fine. I will answer. Just give me a couple of minutes. I will answer your question.
Yes.
Okay. Screen slide is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So, for instance, if you are a faculty, you would ask this question. If you are a faculty, you would ask this question: is it the right time to start my research work? Why I would ask this question? Because for this particular semester, I am busy, extremely busy. I am teaching 3 courses. I am teaching 3 subjects, 3 different subjects for 3 different sections. Then is it the right time to start this research paper? Is it the right time to start? I'm teaching 3 different paper for 3 different type of audience. One I'm teaching for the regular MBA, one I'm teaching for the executive MBA, one I'm teaching for the PhD program. 3 different courses for 3 different audience. Then is it the right time to start the research project or the research paper?
Sir, I don't think so.
You may not have the time. You may not have the time. That's a very important point. So this term, say for instance, you are relatively free between January to May or January to March, you are relatively free. So that is the ideal time where which you have to put your to go in the full gear. Because January to March, you don't have any teaching load. So you start preparing from the November month onwards. From November onwards, you start thinking about the research question, do the initial discussion with your friends. And then by January to March, you should be in full swing writing the paper. Okay. So this is the most important point, especially for faculty members who are already teaching, having a teaching load. Okay. So then again, another question, can I finish it in the less than the time frame that I have committed? This is very difficult. Okay. Because we all are ambitious and we all are, pressed for time. So that's the reason why I say you put a time frame for each project. Okay. So by January 15, I should complete the literature review. So by January 31st, I should get the first draft ready, something like that. Okay. So if you are able to go do it within the less than the time frame, it's always very good. You manage your time very well, right? Okay. So this is another interesting question. Will I be the first person to answer this research question? So the answer for this question is often no. You are not the first person who is answering this question. Okay. Unless always you have certain specific questions. Unless always you have certain specific question, whether the post-COVID behaviors of the people, the spending pattern, is it changed? So you are the only person in the entire country who studied this kind of a phenomena. Okay. So you have to find out answer for all these questions and you need to take out the answers. Then the next interesting question, do I have good tools to address this question? So when I say, do I have the good tools, people often think about the statistical tools. People often think about I'm not talking about the statistical tools. So you wanted to do a research in accounting, for instance. So in your own university, how many people are doing research in accounting? You are the only one person. My God. Then there is no way of doing that. Whereas your university is specialized, your university research scholars are very good only in finance. And if you want to do in accounting, then that will be a disaster. You don't have anybody to guide you. You don't have anybody to talk. You don't have anybody to whom you can discuss your ideas and thoughts. Okay, so that is what I meant by the good tools. What makes you to think that you will be successful? So again, the same story. So I possess something unique. So the answer for this question, suppose you claim, sir, I'm a smart guy, sir, among all the 15 PhD scholars, I'm the smartest guy. Or you can say that I'm the hard worker. But everybody wanted to succeed. Everybody wanted to work hard. So now you can say, I have a secret weapon. I have a secret weapon. This could be a better answer. So what is that could be a secret weapon? So a good research question, a good problem that nobody thought about that before. So ultimately we are coming to the same point. Who care about your research findings? Who care about the answers that you are planning to come? So therefore, for the answer for that question, you go to choose a good problem that nobody has thought about that before. Nobody thought about that before. You are the first person who is thinking about that. So people are interested to know. People are interested to know what is the answer that you plan to bring it into the table. Because the secret weapon or the something unique that you have is only the good problem, a good research question. That nobody thought about that. Nobody thought about that. Okay, fine. So maybe you are the first one to think about this problem. Why? You are the first one because of your personal or professional experiences. Because of I have a lot of understanding on accounting, so I started thinking about some problem for which nobody thought about that. Okay, because of your professional experience. Or special tools are a piece of knowledge that others don't have, like powerful theoretical base. This is a very important point. So very often when you read the paper or when you submit the paper, I mean, I already evaluated more than 120 PhD theses across the country, ranging from IIT to IIMs. What I observed in general, especially when the PhD theses are coming from the university pattern, these theses lack or have some deficiency on the theoretical building or on the theoretical foundation. General observation, not specific to any university. Okay. So why those institutions have a strong or a weaker theoretical foundation? Because in many of the institutes you have the coursework, like IIT, IIM, or other universities, you have the coursework. Wherever there is a coursework, the students have a strong grounding on the theory. When there is no coursework, the student have no strong grounding on the theory. Suppose I am from the state university, I am not from IIT, IIM. I am from the state university, but I learned the technique of bringing the theory into the paper. I learned the technique of bringing the theory into the paper. So I developed the skill. Of blending the theory into my paper. I have strong theoretical base. Okay. So therefore, that is my secret weapon. So my secret weapon is I have a strong grounding on the theoretical base. So for instance, when you are talking about the corporate governance, it's a broad topic. So if you look at the literature today, people from accounting do research on corporate governance. People from finance do research on corporate governance. People from law domain do research on corporate governance. People from economics do research on corporate governance. People from finance do research on corporate governance. People from strategy, you name the area, people do the work. So everybody claim corporate governance is my area, but actually it is nobody's baby. It belongs to different departments. So in the corporate governance literature, if you think that I think that I have a strong grounding on the theory, that is something unique for me. I was strong grounding on the theory. That is something unique. So this is very important, most important. You need to have a very strong theoretical base. Okay. Then you should also ask, what is my background? It is not about what is your degree. It is not about what is your degree. You have a strong understanding on corporate governance. Okay. Can I club that with some other relevant field? Okay. Here I asked you a question. Say, for instance, you have a strong understanding or a strong grounding on finance. Okay. Can I club it with the other relevant field like emotions of people? So what we are trying to find out, we are trying to marry two different concepts, emotions of people and finance. Can we marry these two topics? Now, finance and emotions of people. Is any emerging area is came to the market in the last 10 years by connecting the emotions of people and the finance?
So
Any
yes.
new topic has come?
Yes, sir.
Yes. What is that?
So behavioral finance.
Very good. In the last 10 years, the last 1 decade, a new field has come out. A new field of study has come out called behavioral finance. This is not old. This is a relatively new field. Last 1 decade only people talk about that. So a new emerging area is coming as known as the behavioral finance. Similarly, can I combine my knowledge in accounting with the behavioral pattern of people? How do you combine accounting with the behavioral pattern of people? So finance and behavior you can connect, and so that you can talk about behavioral finance. How do you connect your knowledge on accounting with the behavioral pattern of people? Just I'm giving you a very simple example. Suppose you already have a very good knowledge on accounting, which means how do people do earnings management in accounting. It's a hardcore accounting topic. With that, you look at the characteristics of the leader. Suppose if the leader is a narcissist category, if he is having a narcissist leader, do they indulge in more earnings management? So you connect, you have accounting domain and connect with the behavioral pattern of the leaders of the company. Or you take the same earnings management and in the family controlled companies versus non-family controlled companies. Totally different area. Totally a different area. You take accounting and you bring family owned companies and non-family owned companies. So like that you can combine your knowledge with the other areas. So these are the ways in which you can come out with the unique topics. So nobody must have spoken about this kind of topic when you talk about the accounting and family controlled and non-family controlled. Accounting and the type of the leader. Okay, accounting is the place where people do a lot of manipulation, lot of earnings management. So whether the narcissist leaders are doing the more earnings management or non-narcissist leaders are doing more earnings management. Very interesting question, because here you connect two different areas. Okay. So once when you got the topic, next comes the most important point. How do I execute the idea? That's the most important point. How do you execute your idea? So there are many ways. If you are a young PhD scholar, I strongly recommend you to listen to your supervisor. Why sir you recommend us to listen to your own supervisor? Because your supervisor may be one of your secret weapon. He may give you some topic. Or he may have very strong grounding on the theory in that area. So half of your problem is solved because your supervisor have a strong grounding on the theory. So he will give you what are the input that you require, he will give it to you. What are the input that you require, he will give it to you, right? Or you can look at your own department, or you look at your own university. What are the strength of this group or this department or this particular business school or this university or even this city? Okay, who are the people to whom I can depend? Okay, like that you have to find out an answer for these questions. Take a real problem, preferably with a high payoff. That's the most important point. And find a good solution and do something practical. So this one is most important. Take a real problem, preferably a high payoff. What do you mean by high payoff? That's more of a finance term. You high payoff means you invest in the stock and your stock become multi-bagger. You bought for 1,000 rupees and within 1 year that stock is giving you 30 times returns. It's a high payoff. So how do you get such kind of high payoff? So for that, the answer is here. Are you able to see this Excel sheet?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So someone asked me a question. So what is this ABDC? So this ABDC stands for Australian Business Deans Council. Australian Business Deans Council. That is what is called as ABDC. It is not ABCD. Please note that. This is not ABCD. This is called ABDC. Australian Business Deans Council. So what is the so special about them, sir? This Australian Business Deans Council came out with a list in 2019, which we still hold that one. They gave ranking for different journals in a different manner. Are you able to see here the column number G? Are you able to see this column number G? Here I marked with a different color. Okay, you can see there is one particular journal which is being rated as the A star, which means that is the best out of the various journals in the list over here. The A star is considered as the best journal. Okay, so this A star is Academy of Management Annals, Academy of Management Journals, AMJ, Academy of Management Learning and Education, AMR, Academy of Management Review. So these all may not be related to my own area. These are related to OB area. So I'm more of an accounting man. So what are the A star journals in accounting? Yeah, it is only here. It's called AAA, Accounting, Auditing and Accountability Journal. It's a A star. Then Accounting, Organization, Society, A star. So like that, within your own topic of interest, like within your own area of interest, what are the A star journals? You can see there are so many A stars. So many A stars. You can see. I highlighted some of these journals because they are related to my area of interest. Okay, I can share you the entire Excel sheet also. I will share it with you. So you have so many A stars. A star, A star. So A star means they are the best. Okay. So now, can I look at something slightly lower? Yes, very well. So now I'm looking at that. Okay. If you look at here now, I slightly change the ranking. The A star is considered as the top one. Then who is next? Then A is considered as next one. What you can say, best alternative, you can say that A is next one. Then comes B. Then comes B. Okay. Then comes C. Then comes C. So the entire journal list of this Australian Business Deans Council is being classified into A star, A, B, and C. That's all. Only 4 category. Only 4 category. All the journals in the list across all areas. All the journals across all areas are being classified into A star, A, B, and C. There is no D. There is no D. Okay, up to C. Are you with me? So this is one standard classification. Of course, many of you are working in the university setup. Then you have another classification called Scopus or UGC approved list. Okay, you can follow that also. You can follow that Scopus also, UGC approved list also you follow. But if you are working in management domain or if you are working in the management school, I strongly recommend you to target these kind of list of journals. Because when you go for job market for the interview, the first question what they will ask you is how many papers you publish. That's one question. Second question what they will ask you is how many papers are there in pipeline. How many papers do you have in pipeline? Which means work in progress. You say I have 4A work in progress. I have 4A work in progress. So the institute is very glad to take you into role. Why? Because you will publish all the 4A category journals with the affiliation of this particular institute. So they get credit. Are you getting? So this is one category of list. Okay. Apart from that, you have the UGC approved list also. You have the Scopus list also. There is one more list which I would like to share it with you. Is it visible? Are you able to see this Excel sheet called FT50?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So FT50, who is giving this FT50? This is compiled by a separate body called Financial Times. There's a very popular newspaper called Financial Times is coming from US. So that Financial Times newspaper, they classified the journals as per the FT50. So the top 50 journals according to them. So these are the only top 50 journals, FT50. Now the same FT50, now we also have another list called FT75. We also have another list called FT75. So, but this FT50 is generally considered as the as one of the extremely rewarding journals. In this FT50 journals, you could see at least 10 accounting journals are there. See, very surprising. In the 50 list, you have 10 accounting journals. 2 here, 3, 5. Okay, 8 journals are there. 8 journals are there. Oh, no, sorry, 9 journals are there. Accounting and finance, if you take, you are having almost 15 journals. If you club accounting and finance, there are almost 15 journals out of 50.
Maybe.
So what time we are supposed to wind up? 3:15. So how much time we have in our hand?
By 3:30 we'll be winding up.
Okay, okay, fine. I'll go up to 3:20. Okay, fine.
Okay, sir.
So this is the FT50 list. This list is what I told you a few minutes ago. High payoff. If you publish in this 50 list, then your reward is much higher. I mean, what is your reward? Your reward could be, in terms of recognition from your own institute or, recognition from your own student. Your image will go up in the eye of your own peer groups who are working with you, right? So a lot of advantages when you publish in this kind of the FT50 list. Okay. I'll show you some other list. There is another list is visible. This 46-page PDF document is visible. ABS and ABDC. So here I clubbed these two things. There is another list, another ranking given by another party called as the Association of Business Schools. So they gave a list, Association of Business School, and how do they rank the journals? They rank the journals slightly differently. They rank the journals like 4-star. That is the best. Then they rank 4 next. Then they rank 3. Then they rank 2, then they rank 1. Are you able to see here? Are you able to see here? 4 star, 4. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
3, 2, and 1. What I did, I clubbed both together. I clubbed both ABS and ABDC together. You can see here the list. This is the classification as per the ABS. This is the classification as per the ABS classification. See, ABS. I clubbed both for my easy reference. This is the ranking as per ABS. So this is the ranking as per the ABDC. So, for instance, there is one popular journal called Contemporary Accounting Research. ABS ranking 3, ABDC is A star. For example, Accounting Organization Society, 4 star, here also A star. Journal of Accounting and Economics, 4 star, A star. Okay. If you see here, there is a journal called Abacus. It is being rated as 3 here, rated as number A, rated as A. Okay. So now I clubbed all these things together, and some of them I highlighted because I targeted these journals for my publication. Some of these journals. Okay. So this is called ABS and ABDC ranking. It's a very big list. It's a very big list. See, first you could see here all ranked as per 4 star. Then comes 3. Then comes 3. Then comes 2. Right? 3, 2, 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 3, 2, 1. It's a big list. It's a big list. Okay. So I will share this list also. You can look at that. I will share you this list also. You can have a look at that. Now, the most important point that what we need to do. So we have to choose a very good journal which gives you the high payoff, and the best research ideas come from the real problems. Don't forget this. So don't think that, sir, if I do the real problem, will it not be an action-based research? Okay, it will be an action-based research. From that action-based research, you may get the best research ideas. So therefore, you always keep an eye for the real problem. And once when you got that idea, test market your idea. You know, like how we test market our product, like that you can test market your idea. How do you test market your idea? You talk to your spouse, you talk to your friends, you talk to members of the faculty from other area, you talk to an OB professor. You talk to an OB professor, hey, I have an idea like this, man. Do you think this is very interesting? Like you ask him, a person who is absolutely not related to your area, then he will give you a totally different perspective. He will give you a totally different perspective. Okay, fine. So now the most important point, the most common mistake that most of us, including myself, in my earlier part of the career, we used to do this mistake. What is that mistake? First, write the paper. I write the paper and then I look for the journals. I have the paper, sir. I have written a paper, sir, for my PhD thesis. You tell me where should I send this paper? Please, please, please don't do that mistake. Are you getting my point? Don't write a paper and then scout for journals. You go to do the reverse. I repeat, you go to do the reverse. First, you identify the journal and then start writing a paper. First, you have to identify the journal and then start writing. For instance, I wanted to write a paper on the earnings management in family-owned firms. So I already, when this idea came to my mind, I already fixed which journal I'm going to write. So my targeted journal is called Family Business Review. That's my targeted journal. So I target the journal first and then start writing next. But what most of us, including me, in the early part of my career, we write the paper and go to our supervisor, sir, I have one paper. So tell me, sir, where should I get sent? Actually, you have to do the reverse. Please notice this I learned after a lot of time. So I'm passing it to you. First, you have to identify target the journal, then start writing for it. That is what you need to do. Don't do the reverse. Don't do the reverse. You identify the journal and then start writing. So identify the journal immediately after conceiving a doable research project. What is this, sir? What is this doable? What is this term? Why do you say it's a doable project? So I identify the journal immediately after. So I identified a topic that I wanted to investigate earnings management in the family-owned companies and non-family owned companies across Southeast Asia. That is what is my topic. So the moment I got that, I also identified the journal. Then I need to see whether this project is doable. Most important point, whether this project is doable. Why do you need to answer this question? Why do you need to know this is a doable project? Because am I free during this term? Or am I free during this semester? Whether data is available. I can get the data for Asia, for India. How do I get the data for China? So I have a co-author. I have a co-author who will provide me all the China data. He will provide me. Okay, so imagine something like that. Imagine. So is it a doable research project or not? You have to identify. This is the most important point. This is the most important point. First of all, you have to identify the journal immediately after conceiving the topic, and you have to ensure that that topic is doable in nature. I can do it. Yes. Next one term, I have very less teaching load. Next one term, I have very less teaching load. I have only one day teaching. 5 days I have at my disposal. So I can teach for 1 day. I can prepare for 1 day. I can correct the paper for 1 day. So remaining 3 days, I can use it for my research project. Remaining 3 days, I can use it for research project. So you have to ask yourself the question: is it doable within the given time frame? So that's why I ask you to put the time frame for each research paper. If you see my board, I have right now 3 projects, 3 paper I am writing. Against each 3 paper, I put a time. I put the time. So when should I complete the lit review? When should I complete the collection of data? When should I do the initial round of data analysis? Everything is written. Sometime I may not go as per this timeline, right? You all know, right? Because suddenly some new meetings pop up, suddenly some new teaching assignment comes, suddenly some new consulting assignment comes, suddenly some new training. So it may be delayed by 1 week or 2 weeks. But definitely it should not be delayed by 3 months. Definitely it should not be delayed by 3 months. So maybe 1 or 2 weeks, 3 weeks max permissible. Are you getting? So this is the most important point. This is the most important point. Identify the journal immediately after considering the topic and ensure that the topic is a doable topic within the given amount of time. So to conclude, someone asked me, how do I choose the topic? The answer for that question is creativity is very important in finding research topics. Creativity is very important in finding research topics. What is creativity? Don't focus only finance. Don't focus only accounting. Think of doing it across area. Think of doing across area. Marry the concept of finance with organization behavior. So come out with the behavioral finance. Marry a concept of accounting with reference to strategy. Accounting and family-owned companies. So no connect. Accounting is different. Family-owned company is different. So I connect both. And I can write a paper. This paper can be sent to accounting journals. This paper can be sent to the strategy journal. This paper can also be sent to family-based research papers also I can send. Are you getting? So with this, I will stop. And if you have any queries, I will take it up. I will share all the slides and other thing. I will share it with the organizers, and you can collect it from them.
Thank
So
you,
we
sir.
have certain questions in the chat box only.
Yeah, I could see some questions already. Yeah. Please share the Excel sheet containing FT50. I will share it with you, no worries. Supriya Lamba, you asked, I will share it with you, no worry. And you, okay, feedback form. Yeah, okay. See.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Amisha, you raised a very valid point. Please don't publish your research papers with any journal. I repeat, any journal who ask for publication fees. This is a very important point, because if you publish your journals by paying publication fees, and if you apply to any IIT, IIM, your CV will be blacklisted. You will be blacklisted. Please note that publication fees is different than submission fees. If a journal is asking for a submission fees, $25, $50, $100, you pay. That is agreeable. Submission fee payable is agreeable. Please never ever publish by paying the publication fees and publish a journal. Because the moment when the recruiter come to know that you published your paper by paying the publication fees, your CV will be blocked. At least in IIM Trichy, I can tell you. You pay it's a paid publication, then that concerned person's CV is blacklisted. You will be never called for a next round of interview. So don't do this publication, paying the money and getting it published. That's a big racket. Don't go into that. Don't get into that. Even you can have no paper for next 6 months. You may not have any paper in your CV for next month. It's okay, no problem. But don't pay. Rather, you prepare on your own and get. Now, even today, there are so many free publications are there. The entire Emerald publications, no need to pay any submission fees. Entire Elsevier, except some of the finance-based journals where you have to pay a minimum amount, $25, $50, you have to pay not publication fees, submission fees. Submission fees. Okay, don't get into the trap of getting into the trap of publication fees. Okay, publication fee is different than submission fees. Submission fees is agreed, approved, agreeable, but publication fees, please don't get into the trap. Okay, fine. Yeah.
Sir,
Kalia, you have some query?
yes, sir. Sir, earlier also I asked that how can I identify the research topic related to the thesis? So could you please guide on that?
Yeah, okay, very good question. So first of all, you have to decide what is your broad area. Say, I wanted to do in organization behavior, or I wanted to do broadly in marketing, or I wanted to do broadly in accounting, or I want to do broadly in finance. First, you have to decide the broad area. Once you decide the broad area, then you have to narrow it down. You wanted within that area, I decided finance. Within finance, I wanted to do in corporate governance. So you narrow it.
Sorry for the interruption, sir. But what I mean is, like, I am pursuing my PhD, so my title has been freezed. But now I need to write down the research articles related to as per the requirement of the PhD thesis completion.
Yeah, that's very simple. No, very simple. Now, what are your objectives? You must have definitely minimum 3 objectives.
Yes, sir. Yes,
so 3
sir.
papers are out. Very simple. You have 3 objectives, 3 papers are already in your hand.
Can't it be the repetition in like thesis also we are going to prove that objectives, and in papers also we are going to prove that?
These papers you are writing out of your thesis only, no?
Yes, sir.
It is mandatory for you to publish. Yeah, part of your PhD thesis you already published. That's well and good. That is well and good.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Any other question from any other participant?
Okay, Rocky, how do we interpret aims and scope of publication in a better way? So each journal has its own aims and scope. We need to look at that. Doubly, we have to read it twice, thrice. Okay. The easiest way is you identify the topic and immediately you go through the list. I will share the list with you. I will share the list to the organizers. Kindly share it with the participant. You go through the list of the journals. From that, you can immediately color. You immediately highlight 10, 20 journals. You can highlight. Yeah, these are the journals where I can send my paper without going through the aims and objectives. Once you broadly freeze those journals, then you go to the website of the journal and see whether my topic is suiting to this the aims and scope of the journal. You have to read. That is the only way out. You have to read that. But broadly, by looking at the title itself, you can kind of identify that this journal fits very well for my topic. What can be the minimum number of publication during your PhD, sir? During my PhD, so I did PhD in a state university, where there is no mandatory publication. There is no need to have mandatory. I did PhD 25 years ago. So those days were were a different era. If you want to do a literature review, you have to go to a big library. In today's era, if you want to do a literature review, there is no need to go anywhere. You can ask your friend Larry Page. Who is our friend Larry Page? Who is our friend Larry Page? Every day we meet him every day. Larry Page.
Google.
Yeah, Google, founder of Google. Any research question, you put a Google and you try to find out answer. Yes, Reshma, correct. So if you want to do a literature review, don't go anywhere. You go to Google Scholar. You can go to scholar.google.com and you can download all the paper. During my PhD days 25 years ago, I used to go to IIM Bangalore Library. And take look at all the literature. It was a different era. In today, you are living in a very, very comfortable and easy era. Technology is driving your entire thing. It also have plus, it also have minus. Okay. So literature review. What is the current work going on? I also forgot to tell you one important website. There is a website called namely www.ssrn.com. Associate Science Research Network. This is one very good source of looking at what is the current research going on. What are the current working papers different people are writing? It's a very good website called Associate Science Research Network.com, SSRN. Here you will get area-wise accounting, finance, economics, law. You get area-wise research. You get all the completed paper, published paper, work in progress. You get everything. Very good resource. Please make use of this one.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other queries?
Anyone would like to have any question? Anyone would like to ask any question? I hope no more questions, sir.
Okay, no problem. So what I will do, I will share the PPT and Excel sheets, whatever I shared, I shown you during my session. I will share it with you. You may kindly share it with the participants so that they will benefit out of this one.
Sure,
okay?
sir.
Okay.
Sure. Thank you so much, sir. Over to you, Shubham.
Thank you very much, sir, for such an enlightening and knowledgeable session. Now, I would like to request all the participants to kindly fill the feedback form, which is available in your chat box. Uh, Fill that form immediately. Now, I will request Dr. Dimpy Sanjay ma'am to deliver the vote of thanks and wind up today's session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Shubham. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I take this opportunity to put all my gratitude into words. It's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks speech and acknowledge the contribution of those who worked really hard to make this event happen. I, Dr. Dimpy Sachar, on behalf of BCIPS and the entire fraternity of BCIPS, extend a heartfelt vote of thanks to all our esteemed dignitaries, participants, students, and organizing committee, faculty members, and staff for making today's event a resounding success. I extend my sincere thanks to our esteemed dignitary, Dr. P. Saravanan, Sir, Professor IIM Trichy, for taking his precious time out and consenting to be the resource person for the day. Today, we had an opportunity to learn from you on the very important topic, how to write impactful case studies. We hear your thoughts, and this will surely be going to encourage us in enhancing our academic profile. I'm sure that the audience must have gained beautiful insights about writing case studies. Thank you, sir, for providing the valuable knowledge to our participants and blessing the event with your gracious presence. I would also like to thank our respected Director, Dr. Aparna Mishra, for their able guidance and enormous support in organizing this event. Thank you, ma'am. I thank all the participants for their gracious presence and their remarkable attention. Thank you so much for attending this event, and thank you so much for being so interactive. I also need to mention my deepest sense of appreciation to our organizing committee members, Dr. Vikas Dhaya, Ms. Neelu Walia, for making this event happen. I would also like to deliver heartfelt thanks to our student organizing team member for providing their support in conducting this event smoothly. Last but not the least, I would like to extend thanks to all the respected faculty members, staff. Without their cooperation, it was not possible to organize this event. We sincerely hope that our participants today would have benefited immensely with the knowledge provided by our esteemed dignitary and would be eager to learn more from such in future. To conclude, let me once again repeat that without you all, we will never have the courage to make it happen. So thanks everyone for making this program successful. Over to you, Yashika.
Thank you, ma'am. I would now like to request our participants to join at sharp 12:30 tomorrow on the same link. Looking forward to meet you all tomorrow. I now finally announce the end of the session today. Good evening, everyone, and have a great day ahead.
Okay.
Thank you,
We can now-
everyone. Thank you, Saravanan, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you very much. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. We'll be meeting up again tomorrow, 12:30 p.m. sharp on the same link. We request all the participants to leave the session. We'll be sharing the feedback link in the WhatsApp group also. And please do fill the feedback form because your feedback is valuable to us.